Hello everyone, welcome back to a race night here at Fresh Sim Racing. It's Friday night, which means it is Club Sprint Race night. This is our sprint race series where we bring as close to a real world racetrack as we possibly can. We're going to bring you around this Barcelona Catalunya national circuit. We're going to be bringing you 5 cars that are variants of 5 cars. We have a full grid for you. Hopefully going to stay for the night. As you can see, we're in the Formula Renaults here, Formula Renault 3.5. This is where we start off proceedings for tonight. We're then going to jump off to the Super Trofeo, Lamborghinis for the second race. Third race, we'll go to the vintage Aston Martin DBR1, fantastic cars for driving around here. The fourth race we will be in the Renault Clio Cup cars, and for the final race of the night we'll head towards the GT5s. Currently the drivers are on their first practice session, so they're getting used to the type of cars. They've only got 10 minutes to get used to the cars here in this format, so 10 minutes is all they have to get used to the car, braking points, track layout, everything, and then we throw them in straight into the race with a random grid and no qualifying. So we'll interesting to see how the drivers fare, having to deal with some slower cars ahead, or even the slower cars ahead getting an advantage potentially, especially around a track like this. Expect to see a couple of moments into turn 1. We are using a national circuit, as you'll see in a moment. We're just going to jump on board with into here, and we'll see the difference. You normally see in the Barcelona circuit, you go straight on into turn 1. We're actually going to cut through here onto the right hand side and effectively rejoin the track just before turn 7. So then the circuit we all know very well from Formula 1 and some GT circuits. GT cars, we're running a slightly different layout. Hopefully tonight, as we did last week, we're going to be invited some of the drivers to come and join us for some chat. We've instructed some of the drivers who weren't aware last week to have some settings put a certain way. They now know to make sure to put the settings that way. Hopefully we'll be able to hear these guys when they are chatting. So, what did you miss last week? Round 1. Well, I'll have you know, this race ended quite interesting. We had 14 starting, but only 10 were able to finish in the Formula Renault at Alton Park, where we took round 1. But it was Sam Thumbfinger, who's currently setting the fastest times around the track. He took the victory and the fastest lap bonus point last week. With Mia, person who finished in P2, Larnaca, not able to join us tonight, but hopefully see him back soon. He's not racing tonight, but he has got some points on the board, and we do allow a drop round in our series, so it allows drivers to have a week off without having a penalty to their racing. Kingy, he is on the sheet board. He's third fastest on the track right now, and he was third fastest last time out at Alton Park. So is he going to have a new trend of P3s? There's a lot of fast drivers out on the track right now. Johnny Joyrider hopefully joining us. He's the 16th driver on the grid, not currently in the lobby, so he's got a couple of minutes to rejoin the lobby before he won't be able to get into this race for sure. Then we saw Ice Dude, Wayne, Valeside, Inter, Kobe and Charlie Goff round up the grid. Tonight's grid, as you can see, is a bit fuller. We've got 15 people. Hopefully you have the full 16 lobby. You have Sam Thumbfinger, he's back. Valeside Racing, he's here again. There's Kingy in that nice green livery there. Inter All Sorts, when the camera pans to him. He's gone AWOL. He's just coming into the pits, actually, that's where we can't see him. New driver to Fresh Sim Racing, this is Abiski. He joined us for the M1 Pro Kart Enduro Race season on Wednesday night just gone. Had a really fantastic race considering he had a matter of 5 minutes practice time and joined us in very wet conditions. And sports them very well. Definitely had completed the not last challenge. Here's the old stalwart Wayne, my teammate for most championships. So he's the guy I'm rooting for. Absolutely black and white and Fanatec livery there. Ambient Stubb, the reigning Club Sprint Race Series champion for season 1. He's definitely got a lot of competition though to try and fight off now to make his way through the grid. Chris H, someone who we've raced with a couple of times. We saw Chris H at our special event with another league. So in a little bit of downtime he's come to join us, and he's going to be definitely quick in that car. I expect him to hit those 1 minute and 2s and 1 minute ones potentially for sure. Charlie Goff is here as well. He's in the blue livery, or he's in the white livery. It's hard to tell there. Two cars close together. He's in the white livery, I believe. Charlie Goff's been looking exceedingly quick in the touring cars, and very consistent as well. We have closed views during our championships. We run Force and Series views, so everyone has the same format. Tonight, however, Charlie Goff gets free reign. He's on his normal view, and he's raising the controller as well. So expect, especially towards the end of the night, Charlie Goff to pick up the heat a lot. There's Jeff Spencer. Jeff Spencer's had a couple of weeks off away from racing, but he's back with us now. Really good to have him as well. He's starting to put time, and his lap times are coming down very quickly as well. Had a great, as he has a moment on the grass there, had a really good race at Snetterton 200 in the touring cars. So that's very well for him. Ollie again, touring cars, a lot of touring car drivers here, very quick front wheel drive racers. Let's see how they fare in a predominantly rear wheel drive car selection for tonight's racing. Ice Dude and Ollie, these two guys are going to be at it neck and neck, I'm certain, during this race. Jinx there, he's in the blue and white livery. That's probably my favourite livery there, that blue and white one. Expecting big things from Jinx, not in terms of getting higher up the board, but improving his consistency. He's had a lot of upgrades on his package that he races with at home, and he's starting to feel a lot more comfortable in the car and the cars that we're racing, which is absolutely massive. So I hope to see him get more comfortable. There's Speedy Enzo, a newcomer to this event, so we're waiting to see what Speedy Enzo can bring us, but we'll see how he battles, and as long as he's a fair racer and he's a clean racer, we don't mind having you here. So 1 minute remaining currently of the practice session for these guys, and then we'll go down the grids for you. Just be back with you in just a moment, and we'll have a little break, and then we'll get ready for the start of the grids. And back from that little bit of a short break there, but we are now at the end of qualifying, so the drivers are going to finish up what they're currently doing on the lap, and then we'll head to the race setup from there. Just a reminder, there is no qualifying, we go straight to the random grids, so it will be very interesting to see how everything fares from there. You see a very good spread of times there, possibly. So this is going to be a very interesting race. There are 4 drivers who are all down below that 1 minute, into the 1 minute ones. Chris H and Inter all sorts there at the 2:08. All drivers here and there, but this is only practice. A lot of cars out on track, very close track, so I wouldn't worry too much about the times for the actual consistent racing. Waiting for the guys to head over any moment now. Here we go. And what does the first race grid bring us? And it's Inter All Sorts who is going to take pole. He's going to be wanting to get across and cover that defensive line. Oh, he's on the right hand side, so he has an advantage there. As Ollie in P2, Kingy in P3, Kobe in 4th, as Wayne in P5, Speedy Enzo's in P6, Ice Dude's in P7, Chris H P8, Charlie Goff's in 9, Jinx is in P10, there's Jeff Spencer in 11, Ambient Stubbs got a long way to go from 12th, alongside Sam Thumbfinger, Obiski and Veilside complete the grid. 15 drivers starting. Let's see how many end up at the end of the race. So here the drivers all lined up. They're just getting the final preparations. This is a default setup league, so the guys have to choose between a stable setup or a loose setup. Stable setup gives them a bit more control under braking, able to turn into the corners, but sometimes not as quick. Sometimes you want to be able to drift those cars into the corners, especially around here at Barcelona. Turn 1, you can gain so much time getting the car in, but these cars are also going to struggle with tyre wear. We're running accelerated tyre wear, and it is set at 10 AM and it's light cloud, so the weather is very, very warm. So we're going to see how we're going from there. And actually, I think we've got a technical issue. It's something we had in the last race as well. Last weekend in our first race, we had we've got a technical issue. It's just waiting for the guys to reset the grid from there. So whilst we're waiting for all that to happen, we'll have a quick rundown of what we do here at Fresh Sim Racing. We are kind of a group of us here, amateur pretend racing drivers, as we're waiting for this last driver to retire, and now reset the lobby from there. We currently run three different series during the week on PS4, Project Cars 2. This is the one you're watching tonight. This is our club sprint race. This is more of a relaxed, chill event where we drive the 5 cars around one track, and the track changes every night, but the 5 cars stay for the season. We also have our touring cars on Sunday. This Sunday we're at Cadwell Park for round 3 of our championship. It is, if I just check my sheet here, just to confirm I got the right person on board. Bear with me a second. Just want to make sure we've got the right person leading the championship. I don't want to give other drivers any reason to argue amongst themselves. It is Inter All Sorts who currently leads the Touring Car Championship. He was on the grid pole position there. He leads Ollie, who's only 1 point ahead of Ice Dude and 1 point ahead of a Flying Scotsman who's not joining us tonight. So that's our touring car. The big spread of BMWs and Megans in there. We've had round 1 around Brands Hatch GP. Round 2 was at Snetterton 200, and we're going to Cadwell Park this weekend. And it's going to be a very, very interesting race because the standings are starting to tot up, and we're starting to see a small breakaway group. But ultimately, it's still very close to pay for. Ollie, who won the first 2 races we have on our round 1 event, was nowhere near the top half of the grid for the other 2 races in round 2. So it's always topsy-turvy here and there. On a Wednesday night, we run an Enduro Race series. Our Enduro Race series is in the BMW M1 Pro cars. Using accelerated tyre wear, using fuel management systems, we simulate a slightly longer race effectively, and drivers have to deal with a fair amount of issues going on through there. It's Ambient Stub currently in the lead position there in that championship with a driver. Gunnar Gamboy is not racing with us tonight. Sam Thumbfinger and Wayne, who hopefully will be able to chat to some of these drivers later. Hopefully we'll be able to chat to some of these drivers later, and we'll be able to, hopefully Wayne will get a good chat with Wayne, so we'll be able to hear about his race on Wednesday, because he had an absolutely fantastic result. Started 14th on the grid, 13th or 14th on the grid, and after an hour's racing around a very wet Fuji, managed to finish second in that race, which is currently a career high result for Wayne. Really good work for him. Kingy is in the mix as well, so hopefully all gonna go smoothly. We are currently just going through a bit of an issue, and we're
Sorry,
waiting.
can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Is that into all sorts?
Yeah, sorry. We had a bit of an issue in the lobby, and then we seemed to lose Speedy, who thought he was just running a race on his own for some reason. So we're going to start a fresh lobby.
That's not a problem. It's something we had last week as well.
Yeah,
It's not.
it does seem to be getting more difficult to run these full lobbies on this game.
Oh, we got unwell last week after the initial blip. So hopefully this is our initial blip out of the way, and we'll be able to carry on from there. As whilst we've got you here,
Yeah.
Hinter, you are currently leading our touring car championships.
Yeah, well, by luck more than skill, I think. Luckily, I am at the moment.
I say you've got Ali there for company. You had a fantastic round one, but not a great round two. And obviously we then saw Harry come into the mix last week. If he sticks around, it's going to make your championship route a lot harder. I think we've lost Inter all sorts there. He's heading back to the lobby to make sure we get all the drivers in. You see the drivers joining here. Just confirming everything we saw before. We've got
Sorry, Dave.
Barcelona. It's not a
I
problem.
joined the lobby, so
We're just
I
saying with this couple of new drivers joined us for round two. If they stick around, it's going to make your championship bid a little bit more difficult.
I fully expect to struggle in the BMW over the season, to be honest. But I'm going to give it a good go anyway, just because I enjoy driving that car. But I think the Megans have the edge, so I'm expecting some. Uh, I've been lucky so far. I think. I don't think I'm going to get as lucky for the rest of the season, but I'm going to enjoy it.
We're at Cadwell Park at the weekend. What's your experience as a Cadwell? We don't seem to race there much because it's a 12-man lobby restriction for some reason.
Yeah, I mean Cadwell is it's almost like the English Nordschleife, isn't it? It's like a mini Nordschleife. It's narrow and twisty and a lot of undulation, but it's really good fun track. Really good fun. There's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. I don't think around Cadwell, but the track itself is a great track. It's good fun.
Well, we're going to have to see what everything brings on the Sunday night's racing. How about for the Wednesday series? How's your experiences going there so far? And the M1 Pro car, a fan favourite car, I'm hearing.
I I have to say I only got to join this Wednesday was my first. I missed the first round unfortunately, but this Wednesday was my first one, and I thought the edges being run that kind of played out towards the end, and it wasn't just about being quick, it's about being clever, and I was really impressed with how the race played out. Obviously, I wasn't that clever, ended up down in sixth, but it was great to see Wayne in second, and he played an absolute blinder with his strategy um, to utterly deserve that second. We had Gunnar join us. He was fast. He was really fast. He took the win. So it's going to be interesting to see how Gunnar does in the coming rounds because he clearly is looking to take that championship. And I think during the race, Sam switched to dries very late on, but he had to make his tyres last, and then he absolutely shot past people at the end, which is
He is a master at picking the dry tyres. We saw this in our Group A championship in season one. Watkins Glen, if I remember correctly, he was able to run on slicks when no one else was able to get even close to them. Just like a drifty car, does Sam.
But I have to say, the weather conditions, the track, I think was picked perfectly to play out for a brilliant race. thought it was a great choice. I thought it was really well planned, really well executed, and I thought it made for a very interesting race.
Speaking of races, it looks like the lobby is here. Are you staying with us for the race, or are you going to be jumping back in for the everything that's going on?
It's up to you. I could stay. I could stay with you for a little bit if you want.
It's okay. Let's quick run down the grid. I think we have lost a driver. I think we've lost Speedy off on the grid from the top of my list.
We have to let Speedy go.
So we've got Charlie Goff in P1 on this one. Let's check the right camera. Then we've got Wayne in P2. Yourself, you're on P3, so you haven't dropped down too far. You're still at the front of the grid. Kingy's in 4. Chris H is in 5. Jeff in 6. Ice 7. Obi 8. Vale in 9. Ollie P10. Sam in P11. Jinx 12. Kobe in 13, and Ambion, who doesn't have the greatest look of the draw at the minute. He's at the back of the grid, but for some of the competitors, quite rightly so, he needs to earn those championship points. So let's bring up the map so you can see roughly on track where everybody is. Just waiting for the last few moments. Drivers to pick their strategy. And everyone is in position, waiting for the lights. Here we are. And they're away. It's a fantastic start by one of the cars at the back. Is that a bit of a jump though? It looked like Kingy had a fantastic start. And Wayne is up into P12 position. There's one of the cars goes sideways into the wall. One of the yellow cars has a massive moment there. And I think that's Ollie at the back of the grid. As Ollie just lit up his tyres a little bit too much and got himself spun around. There's a car jumping through the gravel there into turn 3. That's Charlie Goff running a little bit deep there. But Wayne has a fantastic start and he leads the first time round into the airpin. Into all sorts is in P2. There's a move going back there. Kingy has a look on the inside of Charlie Goff. He's able to push Charlie Goff out, and he has done as Chris runs a little bit deep there. And the rest of the field is starting to gather up, but to complete going into the chicane, the first time to complete the end of the first lap, it is Wayne who has a slim advantage over Inter All Sorts in the blue car. Wayne's in the black and white car at the front. There's Inter All Sorts in P2 in the blue. Kingy the Grit have taken the airpin. He's in green. Charlie Goff in P4. Sam Thumbfinger is in 5. And then you've got Jeff Spencer next to Ambient. Stubby's had a great start up into P7. Jinxie's in P8. He's being overtaken as we speak now by Ice Dude. There's Kobe going into the pits for some damage repair alongside Vale. Abiski seems to be struggling around with a missing wing as well, and Ollie is there. So we've already lost a driver on the grid, and we have 4 drivers in the pits. So I'm not sure what exactly happened, but a lot of mayhem. Jump back to the battle at the front of the grid, and that is Inter All Sorts all over the back of Wayne there. Can he get past as we come up to the chicane? Don't think there's a place for a move here unless you're very, very brave on the brakes. But Wayne's able to keep Inter All Sorts behind as he starts to put the foot down now. Has Inter All Sorts got the ability and the slipstream? Can't see any of the drivers using DRS at the moment. It is a function that's available in these cars. I'm not seeing it opening on my screen, so we have to confirm with the drivers after the event if it's working or not. Inter All Sorts is with us, but he's currently amidst a very big battle as Wayne gets very leery on the exit of the corner. Has he conceded position? He has. So Inter All Sorts takes the lead of Wayne is there. It's Kingy in P3, but he's not really catching this group with any great pace. Have broken away from Charlie Goff in 4th as we drop down to 12 drivers from 14 on the grid. The front 3 guys are battling now, and Kingy has been able to close that gap now to Wayne, and Wayne will just be looking for the remaining 12 minutes just to keep his nose as clean as he possibly can. What have we got for going further down the grid? Sam Thumbfinger is ahead of Charlie Goff. So Sam has been able to take P4 now, and Charlie's dropped down into P5. He's now 6 seconds away. The main battle though is the one that's happening right out front now, and is going to closing a couple of back markers actually. Just hoping they get out the way nice and cleanly. It's Inter All Sorts who leads Wayne by half a second, and then Kingy who has the same half a second as well. There's a lapped car getting clear out the way, not sure that is, but he's definitely out of the way of the leader, which is always good to see. And then Kingy has made his way past Wayne at the airpin, and Sam is starting to close in quick. Let's hopefully Wayne can just keep those nice, clean, consistent lines and be able to keep himself in a fairly good finishing position. There's been a moment further back down the grid though. Ambien is dropping down the order. He's currently lapping very slowly. Was he one of those drivers who headed into the pits for damage? I believe he was. So we're looking at roughly 10 minutes or so left in this first sprint race. And the number of drivers have gone around. So Kobe is in the pits. So you've got Jeff Spencer in the pits. Ambien is able to get into P9 right now, hunting down. Bisky is further down the grid. Has he been able to get his nose changed? He hasn't, but he has just... No, he has got his nose changed. He had a lot of damage on lap 1, which is why he was out for 4 minutes. Meanwhile, back up at the front, Sam has closed up the gap to the back of Wayne as Inter All Sorts starts to break away a tiny amount. It's the 2.5 seconds separate the first 4 drivers. Inter All Sorts has a second lead onto Kingy as someone spins off for a moment there. It's Wayne. Wayne's had a moment. He's put a wheel on the curb on the exit and the car has just spun completely around. Let's hope he's not carrying too much damage from that as the two Fanatec cars go side by side. It's the red blip is Wayne and the yellow blip behind is Charlie Guff. Wayne able to keep Charlie behind on this time around, but if Wayne's carrying damage then he'll certainly be losing pace on the straights. Not that we saw it there though. At the front, Kingy's closed down that gap to Inter All Sorts. I wonder Inter All Sorts has had a bit of a mistake somewhere because Kingy is now all over the back of them as we come round for a little bit more traffic. The drivers effectively from P8 down all lapped, all involved in an incident on lap 1, which is a bit of a shame, and especially in these cars they are quite fragile. As we see Inter All Sorts, is that a move in for a pit stop?
Inter All Sorts has a drive-through penalty because he jumped the start.
There. Live from the driver himself taking his penalty, but he should still come out around P6, P7 ballpark because we're watching the timer now, which was about halfway through the pit straight, and the drivers in P6. Ice Dude's just coming along the straight and Jinx is coming out the final corner now, so he should be out in P6. What a fantastic race for Jinx as he can keep it on the track. A bit of a lag spike there for him, but if he can keep these times stick around, not exactly quick times, not breaking the leaderboards, record boards there, but it's not what you need to finish in P7 as it turns out. So all about consistency. Out front is Kingy in the fresh air. I say fresh air, he's behind the back marker there. He should be able to get past quite quickly. And he is through. He has a 3-second lead over Sam. Sam is currently the championship leader. He should still be the championship leader, in fact, if he finishes where it stands right now. But he won't be happy to be on that second spot, the first of the looters, if you will. Wayne behind, taking advantage of Inter All Sorts' hastiness to go off the line. He's back into that podium position, but Charlie Guff is not going to let that go for sure. As we ride on board with Charlie Guff here, we come into the left-hander up the hill. He gets a lot of curb coming into the left-hander. Charlie is racing on the controller. Some of these drivers, most of these drivers on wheels, but Charlie is a control professional. He is a controller specialist, useful at a lot of twisty tracks like Laguna Seca, but yet to be seen whether it's going to be from a benefit here around the long sweeping corners of Barcelona. Pace is quite comfortable at the moment for most of the drivers, hovering around the 1 minute and 4 mark. This is currently the closest battle on track. There's Ambient Stub further back, who is lapping considerably quicker than the rest of the field, but he is a lap down and a good 40-50 seconds behind Jinx in P7. So he's going to be lapping 5 seconds a lap faster, but there's only 6 minutes left to go, effectively 6 laps to go. Expecting 14-15 laps from these drivers. This is your race leader on board with Kingy as he's coming through the left right hander. Normally a straight line for the GP circuit, but a bit of a fast moving, almost like a Monza-esque chicane. Very slow on the exit for Kingy, but he's got his car traction under control. Wide of the apex, digs back in, very similar to one of the Silverstone corners, and then lifts off in here for the chicane, gets the car all the way over to the right and is over to the left as much as he can to maximise this exit. But there is Sam, who has closed up on this last lap or so. Gained 2/10 on the last lap as Kingy crosses the line for a 102.7 and Sam a 102.0. So Sam took 7/10 out of the leader there in that last lap. Wayne and Charlie Goff are still at it, so hammer and tails. Wayne is doing his best he can. He's used his move to get off the racing line to try and break the tow. Charlie Goff just not able to get close enough on this lap. 4-5 minutes left to go. Ice Dude and Inter All Sorts very close on track. I think that's Inter All Sorts back up into P5. He now has a good way to go. Yeah, just about those lap times. Ice must have had a little bit of a moment as well. He's lost out 3 seconds on that lap. At front, Sam is close right up onto the back of Kingy. He's definitely not going to be happy with his first of the losers spot. Sam is in that orange, red and yellow white livery, the Bandai Namco. Every hunting down Kingy, you see him in the shot there in the green. Has he got enough to have a look on the inside? Not enough at this lap. Very easy to get close here. Not so easy to find a move. The prime overtaking spot's going to be into turn 1 or potentially into the airpin as the drivers are coming up to now. Obi is in the pits once again. Jeff Spencer spending a bit more time in the pits as well, so they're down to 10 drivers. 10 drivers, so we'll see how everything is. I think we've lost Ollie out of the race for sure. Kobe is out of the race. At the top of my markers, Chris H is missing from my list as well. Valeside and the other driver picking up the non-finishes here. 10 drivers remaining. 3 minutes left to go in the racing, so we're expecting potentially another 3 more laps from these guys. Depends on where the leaders go. The leaders are at another level right now. Sam is into the 1 minute ones, sort of qualifying sort of pace, and Kingy is doing his best to can to match him. Ambient Stub is still a bit of a way off on his recovery drive. He's in 8th right now. He's closing on the battle of Charlie Goff and Wayne, but they are a lap ahead. Wayne's been able to break the toe a bit there, in fact. Wayne doing everything he can to get that position, but Inter All Sorts is closing the gap. Inter All Sorts took 3.4 seconds out of Charlie Goff on that last lap, with a 12-second gap and only 3 minutes remaining. Is he got enough to catch up? As you see, one of the yellow cars stricken on the last corner with missing a key piece of equipment. That's a nose cone missing there. It's not Ambient. Is that Ice? That is Ice Dude. Ice Dude is missing a key part of his car, so maybe that's an opportunity there for Ambient Stub to gain a position for free. He's only got 20 seconds to find, and he's definitely going to be running a lot faster than the car with no front aero. On to lap 13. These drivers coming through the open S's. Sam still in P2, half a second so behind King. He's able to close that gap down and then speed up from there. Has Sam got what it takes with the time closing down? I will see. Oh, there's a back marker there, and that's Sam's chances of the win out of the window for sure. Not sure which driver at fault, but the blue and white car, which checking through the list, it's Jinx. Got all caught up, all sorts of wrong in front of Sam Thumbfinger there. And is that going to give Wayne the opportunity here? There should be one more lap to complete after this current lap for the leaders. As we're looking here, Ice is all on the back of this battle as well, so Jinx will have some rear damage. Ice is running around with some front damage, and there's Ambient Stub doing what he does best and hunting down the stricken cars ahead. Has he got the pace to find 11 seconds in the last 2 laps? Remember, the cars, 2 cars ahead that you can catch comfortably are both got damage. Just trying to check on Kingy as we're coming around the chicane for the final time. Will this be the final lap, or will there be one more? There's about 8 seconds in hand. I think there will be one more lap. There is indeed one more lap to go. This is the final lap. The leader's on the final lap. Sam Thumbfinger with a lot of damages in P2. 15 seconds off the leader now. He was half a second behind. Wayne is 25 seconds behind in P3, with Charlie Goff 2 seconds behind him in P4. You have to look 5 seconds back to find the driver who was leading the race before taking a drive-through penalty for a jump start. He's in P5. Jinx with a little bit of damage is in P7. Ice P6, sorry. Ice is in P8, and Ambient Stub, there he is. He's 2 seconds behind Ice with the final lap to go. Has he got what he needs to take the 2 cars ahead? There's only 5 seconds to go. He's closed up the gap onto Ice very quickly, less than a second now. Just check in with our leaders, because Charlie Goff's all over the back of Wayne as well. So this is your race leader and soon to be race winner, Kingy. He hasn't won for a good while. You have to go back to last season's sprint race championship for last time you saw Kingy taste the sweet taste of tea or coffee, whatever he's drinking tonight, for his race win. Sam, missing with some new lightweight modifications to his car, is able to take P2. If we watch Wayne fend off, let's Charlie Goff's going all sorts of wide, just getting the car, carrying much speed, but he's got too much speed, he's into the wall. But it's not going to matter too much in the car behind. That's Wayne for his second podium of the week, taking P3. Charlie Goff somehow makes P4, even though he went across the line all sorts of wrong. Into all sorts. Good recovery in the end into P5. There's Jinx in P6. Ambient Stub makes it to P7. Just not enough pace to catch Jinx in the end. P8 for Ice. P9 for Jeff Spencer. And 10 for Obi. Non-finishers for 4 drivers on the grid. They should still be in the lobby, all being well. Good result for Obisky. Really good lap as well for Obisky there. Fastest lap credits go to Sam Thumbfinger. I'm just going to save the screen here so we know to deal with the issues from there. Yeah, so we had a disqualification from Ollie, so it looks like a speeding in the pit disqualification. Kobe, Vale and Chris H all with retirements on lap 0, 4 and 5 respectively. So just checking with the guys within the lobby, and they're all good to go. So certainly a very interesting race. Slightly disappointing to lose out with four guys, 4 drivers not able to finish, but good racing nonetheless. We're just going to be waiting. Hopefully we'll be able to chat with one of the guys. We've got Ambient Stub, Kingy, maybe Wayne. Hopefully we spoke to Inter All Sorts a little bit earlier on. Hopefully we'll speak to some of the other drivers and be able to just to get their input on that race. What went right? What went wrong? What they're enjoying so far. If you are there live on chat in the conversation, don't forget I'm here. I'm watching chat. Should be able to respond to you best I can. There's a lot going on. Some racing, good racing. Hopefully we'll see the racing get a little bit tight as they've gone. There's going to be a tiny bit of delay now as well. Whilst drivers get all into their separate liveries. We're trying to give every driver a unique number. There are no teams in this championship. It's every man for themselves. We ran teams in the first season, but for this time around, no teamwork to be done whatsoever. So there's going to be no love lost in these drivers. So we do have 14 drivers still with us, and hopefully we can keep the 14 in. And then we'll get on to the next sort of race. So, what are we racing? Is your question you're asking potentially? It's the Lamborghini Huracan Super Trofeo. In real life, these cars are slightly slower than the GT3, if I'm correctly informed. But on this game, they, with the right sort of guidance and the right driving, they are up there with the GT3, GTE cars. So another element to the GTA cars, Lamborghini version, probably not quite as quick. Let's think about. Alright, so bear with me. Let's we're gonna get Kingy into our chat, and we'll see how we went for that last race win. Just going through my lists of players to add into the room. There we go. So yeah, we're driving the Super Trofeo. Rear-wheel drive Lamborghinis, lots of power, a lot of understeer, mid-engine cars. So these cars do like to turn mid-corner and post-corner, if you will. So getting these cars under control can be a bit of a challenge here and there, but they are fantastic when they sound amazing. So we'll go from there. I think we are joined now with Kingy. Kingy, fantastic race. Lucky race, but fantastic race. How was it for you?
Yeah, like you said, really got a little bit of luck. I think I had decent pace. Sam was certainly a little bit quicker there. He was taking half a second a lap off me or so. I was running out of tyres, and the deeper I was braking into the corners, the more slidey I was getting. So I was having to back it down a little bit. Inter obviously got a drive through at the start. I think it was a jump start because I started next to him. So I knew once he got past Wayne and sort of drove away, I knew that he would probably have to peel off at some point. Got past Wayne, I thought I was away really, and then I looked at my relative and Sam was coming, and I was ready for a good battle there really. And it's a shame that a back marker that was glitching really badly kind of ruined it really, because I had to back off, which put Sam right behind me. And then when I got past, I looked in my mirror and it looked like the glitching driver had actually made contact with Sam and taken him out. So
Yeah, we caught a bit of that stream. Yeah, we caught a little bit of a stream when it happened through, but it is part of racing, unfortunately. The disconnection's a bit of an equivalent of mechanical failure, and the back markers, well, they're just back markers no matter where you go.
Yep.
But it's really good racing. So there's a moment there where Wayne took the lead, obviously Ben took advantage, and then you were on the back of him, and then you weren't, and then he was again, and really good pace from Wayne. Not as what I expected in these open wheel cars. It did give you a bit of stick to begin with.
Yep, and they're quite difficult to overtake as well. You're kind of relying on someone to make a mistake. It's really hard to force it because they're open wheels. And the only reason I actually got past Wayne is because he just put his back wheel on a bit of grass and he got half sideways, and it was just enough for me to get up the inside. And it was good driving by Wayne as well, because he knew that it'd give me that chance, and he didn't cut in on the next bend because he knew I was there. So yeah, that was good driving in those parts.
Your first taste of the tea, if you will, or the coffee, whatever you're choosing tonight, for a little bit in the while. You've had a tiny bit of a dry spell with this. It's not like you.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So glad to get back into winning ways. Happy with that.
How's everything going on the Wednesday series for you?
Not great. I had a pretty decent result first time around, but I didn't have much pace, so I was a little bit disappointed with that. I felt like I had a better chance at a good result, maybe a podium this Wednesday. Prepared a little bit more, and unfortunately disconnected. So we'll never know. So we'll go again Wednesday, and hopefully I can get a result. We'll see. But I enjoy it nonetheless. So that's all that matters.
You do have 3 out of 6 potential points for qualification bonus points as well. So you're obviously clearly quick enough to be able to put it around the lap. Let's say with disconnection at Fuji, equivalent of a mechanical failure, cost you what's potentially around, would have been a third, potentially a second as well, because Wayne had a good race well. But
yeah. You never know.
Just waiting
Felt
for.
like I had a good strategy.
Well, yeah, Wayne was the only driver to go with the one stop and stay onto the wets. I think Sam did a one stop and stayed onto thingy. As we guys have gone into practice, so we have lost a driver. Is that Jinx?
I'm not sure. He was the one glitching really badly, so maybe.
We might have to
possibly
do a
one other
reset
would
and
be,
rejoin us. But yeah, we are going to sit on board with you for a little bit, if you don't mind. King, yes.
I'm actually just in the party now. Can I go back to practice and
Yeah, go for it.
carry on? Yeah. All right. I'll do that. So, what do I do here? Right, prioritise the gameplay.
Good luck for the rest of the night. So who have we got going around? Let's have a look at the cars we're racing with. There's Jeff Spencer in the Vastmac black and white car. A really good determination in that Formula Renault race to get the car around and finished. Was in the pits a number of times with a couple of collisions, potentially not his fault, but he's here nonetheless. There's Valeside Racing. He's in his yellow and green Lamborghini livery. Did really good results last week. Let's have a look how the results fared for last time around in these cars. Just bringing up my results page. It's always good to have all this on. It was in fact Valeside who won these cars last time round. Charlie Goff finished in second, Amit Stubbs third, Inter All Sorts fourth, Wayne fifth. So we'll go through from there. There's Chris H. He's in that red and white car. I believe he's in the red and white car. Just waiting for the camera to pan towards him. Be easier just to jump on chase cam. Chris is in the pits. There's Kobe in his green, white and blue, having a moment in the last corner there. And he's returning to the pits. Jinx is here with us. We are missing a driver though. Trying to see which driver it is who hasn't made it into this session. Started with 15 drivers. There's been one disconnection, down to 14, and I'm not sure who it is we're missing here. We'll go through the list. It's here. Charlie Goff is here. Sam Thumbfinger in the brightly purple coloured livery. Look at the sound of those Lamborghinis, absolutely phenomenal. Hopefully the sound's coming through loud and clear for you guys as well. Sam's sending one of the cones to the shadow realm there. Why use brakes when you can use cones to stop your car? That is obviously the strategy that you need to use to get quite far up the grid. There's Ollie, who's put the fastest time on the board initially. He's now beaten by Ice Dude. They say these guys expect these two guys to be trading lap times and trading paint even potentially around the race tonight. And last week's Renault Valeside just throws in is out his first lap for a second faster than everyone else. Inter All Sorts is there in the grey livery, watching his car get a little bit sideways. We're on board with a helicopter now, coming into the airpin. These cars are very tricky to drive when they're cold, so you'll see the drivers putting in a good couple of number of laps here just to get used to everything. And this is our second race, don't forget, second race of 5. After this we're going to be jumping into the DBR1, a beautiful vintage car with completely different driving styles to have so far. So we've had the Formula Renault with a little bit of aero, or a lot of aero, a lot of grip. Now we're on to our GT car with not so much grip but still a little bit of aero. Then we go to the vintage, which has been described by some drivers as driving more of a boat than the car, but it's a fantastic drive on this and it looks really good on stream, and I hope you'll agree with me there. Then we've got the Renault Clios and the Ginetta GT5s to finish the race. So a little bit of a bump fest potentially for the final race, but it's going to be really good for some of the cars. This is Kingy, the race winner for race 1. Let's see how he can very quickly adapt into this GT car. He's into the 1 minute 15s, but he's quite a way off of Vale's pace. Vale is just really good in these GT cars as Kingy runs very deep, gets the car sideways. That's the mid-engine turn that was referring to. Car is nicely balanced, but when you put it into the corner too much on the nose, it will spin the back end round. He has the car tamed for this section, riding nicely over the curbs. Let's hear a car very closely. Is that a car pulling off the circuit or pulling further ahead? It is Kobe's the driver that we're currently missing. Waiting for Kobe. Should be able to join us. Hopefully, got 2 minutes or so to join before we hit the lobby. There's flashing lights there of one of the cars running very deep to avoid. I mean, this is not qualifying, this is just a practice. Drivers have only got 10 minutes to get used to the car, get used to the minutes to so get used to the car and everything, and then go from there. Get used to the track. It's one of the green and yellow cars around there. That's either going to be Vale side or it's hard to remember off the top of my head. Where's the yellow car gone? There we go, Obi. Obisky getting used to the car. A really good time though for Obisky. A 1 minute 16 after only a couple of laps. Watching these guys go around. Little bit of a moment there by the red and white car. A little bit of ghosting as they cut the corner. Who is that cut the corner ever so slightly? There is Ollie, got the corner all sorts of wrong. So that lap time, if it was qualifying, would be deleted, but it doesn't need to be deleted at this point. Expecting this race to be quite close in 15 minutes, or unless you're in these cars, would you get into the tow? These guys are going to be really good to keep on track, especially around here, Barcelona. But we heard Kingy allude to it. You're looking for the guy ahead to make a mistake. It's potentially a course that is a little bit difficult for overtaking. You do have to be brave going into the brakes to be able to make the move, or at least have a really good run out of the final corner. as we see Charlie Goff there improve his best lap by 4/10 on that last time round. Into the last minute of practice, and then we'll get the drivers to the next grid. Charlie Goff running a little bit deep there. How's Jinx getting on? Good finish for Jinx, sticking it through with a P7 in the first race. He's have a habit of doing that recently, and he's just completing the races, completing his laps, and watching that fastest lap time and those average lap times drop down considerably. So hopefully he'll keep at it. In fact, he's just found a 10th there in that first sector. Can he use it if we go round, follow him for the rest of the race, rest of the practice? My apologies. He's going to get into this right hand left hand combination, almost the opposite of the Ascari that you'd find at Monza. He's still carrying that almost 2/10 now. Let's see if we can keep this final bit nice and clean. Hitting the apex of the first part of the corner. Just might want to tuck that car into the second part of the exit there. He's going to be losing a lot of time on exit now. But for the rest part, it's a really clean lap here by Jinx. It's really good to see. There we go. Keeps off the rumble strip, that yellow strip there. He's going to unsettle the car. The curb not so much, but that strip definitely will send the car around. Looking for the slipstream as much as you can. Does he improve? He does. He finds 4/10 on that lap. Really good lap by Jinx there. And he's up into the mid-15s. So last 30 seconds or so as the drivers come across the line to finish their practice. So we are entering this race with 13 drivers, I believe, 13 drivers, and we'll see what the random grids give us. Yep, 13 drivers. See what the random grids give us to make a decision, just to or see what we're going to have, basically. And here it is. It is Enter All Sorts in P1. Let's see if he can wait for the red lights this time around before putting his foot down. Chris H is in P2 and the current championship leader Valeside in P3. So it's going to be very interesting running soon into turn 1. Lamborghini enthusiast Wayne is in P4. Ice Dude in P5. Going to expect a bit of quiet recently from Ice Dude, but I know he's got a big result brewing. Abiski, we saw a little bit in practice, is in P6. Kingy in P7. Jeff Spencer in P8. Charlie Goff is in P9. Ambient Stub, not having much luck in these random grids at the minute, is at P10. Ollie, we expect to, if he keeps his nose clean, to come up through the order in P11. Sam in P12. And Jinx in P13. So I think Jinx will be looking to wait for all the chaos to happen in front of him and then drive by. Let's bring up the map so you can see in the top right hand side where the drivers are. Closing into the last few moments of the setup. Again, choosing between only the stable or loose setup, the two available default setups on the car, and then they get on ready for racing. So 13 cars on the grid. Kobe not able to make the entry of this one, and they're away. It's a really good start by Inter. We'll check to make sure that there's no cars jump starting at the moment, as all 13 cars start to go a little bit forward wide into turn 1. Vale's got a good start. He's gone up into P2, and there's a bit of a gap now to the rest of the field, but it's Inter who leads. Vale, Ice is up into P3. Chris is in P4, but in fact Ice has run a little bit deep there coming into turn 3, and he's going to drop way down. Or is he? No, that was yeah, it was Ice dropping down. So Chris is in P3. There's Wayne in P4, Kingy P5, Charlie Goff P6, and Obi on P7. But there's Vale looking around to the outside. Inter all sorts closer more defensively, but Vale looking for the undercut, a little bit of contact in the entry of the corner, and these two guys are away. And there's a bit of a gap then, but then you have Chris in P3, and there's the battle there of number of cars. There's Wayne, Kingy, Charlie Goff, Obi, Sam, Ollie, Ambient, Jinx, Jeff, and then Ice at the back of the grid after running wide. So Vale has been able to catch up to the back of Inter also, so you can see absolute mayhem behind us. The red car spinning round. Who's that down the grid? That is Charlie Goff, who's got a little bit too wide on the final corner and has just spun the car around and he's into the wall. He joins Ice at the back of the grid. Vale side not able to close up the gap to Inter all sorts on that lap. In fact, Inter starting to pull away ever so slightly. I don't think that will last long. These two drivers starting to pull away from the rest of the field. As a few cars going 2 by 2 effectively here and up the hill. We're going to have a jump on board with Ambient, who's in the thick of this battle. Here's Ambient still with the cars ahead. It's Obi, Chris, Sam Thumbfinger, and Wayne ahead. And there's actually a moment there as Ambient Stubbs been hit from behind. Who is that? Is spun round on the apex. We're not quite sure, but there's a massive contact to this back of the car there. No time lost, but Sam has dropped down the order. So coming on to the start of lap 3, there is 12 minutes left, and as Inter all sorts keeps it out the wall. Don't know how, but he keeps it out the wall, concedes first place, but he'll be happy to not take any damage. Vale takes the lead, and he shoots away straight away. So Vale is into lead, Inter all sorts is in P2. There's the man Kingy winning of race 1. He's found himself in this position again where he's hunting down the leaders. He's in P3. Wayne is in P4. He's having a really good weekend so far, really good week so far. Hope he keeps his head down and keeps this consistent pace up. There's Obisky there in P5 and followed by Jinx. Really good racing for him. Hopefully none of these drivers were part of the collision that happened at the airpin in the previous lap, but there is Jinx in P6, Ambient is in P7, there is Ollie in P8 and very closely followed by Sam there in P9. Jeff Spencer is in 10 and Charlie Goff in 11th. So where are these two drivers? There you go, it's Charlie Goff's in the red car. He was the car who span around on the previous lap. But right now Jinx is all over the back of Obisky. He's having a really good race. Hopefully he can focus on hitting his marks as we see a car running deep there. That is Wayne. Wayne's gone very deep and he's lost out on 2 positions there. Obi and Jinx are ahead, and in fact Wayne's coming under increasing pressure from a trail of cars behind. There's Ambient, Stubb, Ollie and Sam. All have made their way through, so Wayne has dropped from P4 to P9. If he can keep with this flurry of cars though, he will be able to regain some fun. Kingy's caught up onto the back of Inter ahead. I'm going to ride on board with Kingy. Is he close enough to make a move coming down to the airpin? He gets a really good exit, starts closing down. Inter looks to defend, but realises Kingy is not close enough right now and able to drive over the corner. But Kingy gains so much time under that braking zone there. You watch the 2 lines here. Really struggling to get the power of this Lamborghini rear-wheel drive car turned in. Does inherently understeer this car, so especially on default setups, especially when the tyres are getting very warm. But I don't think it's going to be a way through this time round. What about this battle a little bit further back? Well, Sam has dropped out time again, so Sam and Ambient have had a bit of a mare this race. There's Jeff Spencer behind. They're in 8th, 9th and 10th respectively. And Jinx, who was up in P5, has lost out to Ollie. But Jinx, still fantastic result so far for Jinx. With 9.5 minutes left to go, we're on to lap 5 of this race. We only lost 1 driver so far. We lost, there's Charlie Goff spun around there. He's a lap down. And Ambient and Sam have both come into the pits. So these guys picking up a bit of damage. We will see what they're doing. So let's have a look at ambience, what they're kind of doing. This guy, is he getting just repairs here? Same for Sam, slides in for some repairs. Must have picked up a lot of damage by something happened out on track. So it is our leader here in the green and yellow and black car who's heading on to lap 6. He Valeside, who won last time around, he leads by 8 seconds, and there's the battle between Kingy and Inter All Sorts. Now it's a battle of who's the bravest on the brakes. Sam and Ambient both out of the pits now. They only have Charlie Guff behind them. Inter All Sorts the latest on the brakes there, and is able to get the car somehow stopped and turned around the corner. Kingy will be amazed he's able to do it, but it also means he gets another crack at trying to overtake him. The field is starting to spread out a little bit more now. The other battle currently out on track, closest battle is Jinx here, closing up on the back of Ollie, who is, battle is for P5. So you got Vale, Inter All Sorts, and then Kingy 1, 2 and 3. Obisky's having a really good race in these in his Lamborghini GT Super Trofeo. He's in P4. He's got 2 seconds or so on Ollie behind, who's closing in slowly, and Jinx, who's doing a really good race, he's in P6. Wayne started strongly, had a bit of a moment. We're not sure what happened there, but we did see him drop down the order. He's on a recovery drive. He's got 4 seconds to Jeff Spencer behind, and Jeff's doing a really good race here in P8. For a man who's not had much time in the reel recently, he's certainly able to put this a high level of consistency in there. He's being hunted down by Chris, and then there's a lap behind for Ambient Stub, Sam, Funfinger and Charlie Guff is a bit further down. This battle will be one they'll be enjoying, even though it's not sort of place on the grid they want it to be happening. Sam and Ambient will be at each other for the rest of the race, I am sure. Back up the order, there has been a moment for someone. Ollie has lost out of place, and Obisky has dropped a lot of time to the guys behind. So Obisky's now 23 seconds behind the leader, and there's Jinx 24 seconds behind, and Ollie 25 seconds behind. So these cars all separated by 2 seconds on track. As we're coming into just, well, we're past the halfway point now, so expecting about 13-14 laps for these cars. We'll see how much Vale wants to keep pushing ahead. Vale is the fastest man on track right now, pumping in at 1 minute 12. Yep, he's through. Then there's this battle for Inter All Sorts and Kingy. We're going through a bit of traffic. That's Sam and Ambient Stub pulling clean out of the way, letting the front runners do the racing. Once Ambient's let them through, I'm pretty sure Sam will rejoin the fun and get the back of Ambient Stub ahead. It's Inter All Sorts in the grey, there's Kingy in the blue, white and green. If they can catch up to Ambient Stub ahead, I'm sure he will let them through, but Kingy is starting to drop off a little bit there, as Sam gets very wide under braking, with that extra speed into the slip lane, but managed to get the car stopped and keep it out of the wall. The rest of the grid is settling down. Here's Obi and Jinx for P4. If Jinx just figure out a little bit more pace, he'll be able to really put Obi under pressure, but he runs very deep at the exit of the chicane there. Can he just keep his lines clean and do what he needs to do? Doesn't need to keep pushing now, he just needs to stay focused. Wayne is up into P6, and Ollie has dropped a lot of time there as well, so I'm not sure if Ollie is carrying damage. There's Jeff running very wide on the exit of the airpin. That would have cost him some time, and in fact it has. He's dropped a little bit further behind Ollie there. Closest battle on track is, if we just jump on board, and that's Kingy, who's got the car very sideways. And he's, I'd say that's his second place opportunity gone, providing that Inter can keep the car on track. 4 minutes left to go, as Sam has had a massive moment there in the background. just caught a little bit of gravel and has just spun the car all the way around. He's not having the best of races, and in fact you might see him go back to the pits. There's a lot of damage. 4 minutes left to go. 3 more laps or so, 3-4 more laps. This is our leader starting lap 10. 4 minutes left in the bank. He's got 12 seconds over Inter All Sorts here, so he'll soon be out of sight at the end of the pit straight. Inter All Sorts, that's got a bit of traffic in front of him. That is still Ambient Stub that's in the way there. Still yet to be lapped. We are starting to drop a little bit. I wonder if Inter All Sorts not able to catch the car ahead and pulling away from Kingy behind is just going to focus on finishing his race. Then the most interesting battle right now out on track is this one between Obisky and Jinx. The new equipment that Jinx is using seems to definitely be working for him. He's found a lot of pace in these cars. He lost out 4/10 on the last lap. So see if he can find that ability to catch back up. There is Wayne in the red, white and black car. He's still within touching distance of those cars ahead, so there is a P4 in him there for him, provided if the guys ahead make a mistake. Ollie's P7, Jeff Spencer P8, Ambient the last on the lead lap in P9. So Chris, Sam and Charlie Goff all a lap down. I believe Charlie Goff's come up to the point of being 2 laps down. Again, credit to these drivers who have having moments, having a bit of damage here and there. As we see, 2 cars are stuck together there. That looks like Obisky has gone round on the exit of the corner, and Jinx has had nowhere to go other into the side of him. This is obviously pure speculation. We wasn't there to see the start of it. We only saw how they ended up. But what this has done is allowed Wayne to close up onto the back of them. So that 9-second gap is now only 2 seconds. Can Wayne retain position? Be interesting to see at the start of that battle what happened. And we'll see here with Jinx getting a massive slipstream from Obisky. Will he be able to make a move? Just gotta be careful that Obisky doesn't do too much weaving. He's allowed one defensive maneuver which he made there. Jinx puts his nose but inside, no way through. He's gonna have a really good exit now if he can run up the hill. And there is Wayne, who has a front row seat for all this battle. He's hoping that these guys keep their battle up and they're going to slow each other down. Riding on board now with Jinx. That is Obisky ahead, and you can't see what the review is. Jinx has a fantastic run out of the S's there. On the inside, later on the brakes. Has he got the move done? Can he make it stick on the exit? He can. Fantastic move there by Jinx. Great move on the brakes on the outside. He got a really good run off the fast flowing S's and was able just to carry the momentum down into the airpen and hold it under the brakes and hold it on the exit as well. There's Obisky running a little bit wide. Is that going to give Wayne an opportunity to close up? Again, look how much he's gained up in this battle. It's Wayne with less than a minute left to go on the timer. Where is our race leader? Our race leader is coming down into this section now, so there'll be one more lap to complete after this current lap. So we'll be going on to lap 13, will be the last race. Still has this good lead for Inter All Sorts, and Kingy's dropped off a fair bit now. He's just going to be managing his gap to the end. There's Jinx. We just watched overtake Obi on the previous lap, and Obi now has Wayne for company in P6. Further back is Ollie, and then you got Jeff Spencer, and Ambient Stub is on the back of Jeff Spencer. Has he got enough to make it on the inside? Jeff Spencer keeping way off the line, doesn't want to force the defend, but Ambient there is got very sideways under braking, and that's it means he keeps the place. But I wonder if he moves out of the way. Watching Jeff try and get out of the way of the leaders in a moment. We'll come back to that battle as we're watching these Wayne come around. Remember, these guys should be across the line now. No, they've still got one more lap to go. The third drivers are still got one more lap to go. This is your race leader coming through the chicane for the final time. for his second win in as many races in the Lamborghini Super Trofeo. Congrats to Valeside, a flawless race. Had a lot of competition to start and was able to push his way to the front of the grid. Congratulations, Valeside. He's going to take maximum points for his race so far. Into all sorts, 14 seconds down the line. Easy in the end. A lot of pressure from Kingy, but he will disappointed to lose out on the P1 spot, but he'll be happy to take up the massive points. Kingy, clear gap to the guys behind, but he is done at P3. Good points, another podium position. He is the master of picking up podiums as well as the fastest laps here, and then we'll see who's got the fastest lap. It's Jinx in P4 now. He's got a 2-second gap. He just needs to deal with the last corner nerves. Has he got enough? The only closest battle on track right minute is Wayne and Nabisky. Wayne, who's a very ambitious lunge into the chicane there and got quite airborne. He was lucky not to cause any more damage and keep it out the wall. But he should end up with P6 nonetheless. There's Jinx with his P4. Really good race for Jinx. Not usually one with pace, but consistency key. And he's found both in this race. Really good result for him. OB in 5. Wayne takes P6. There's Ali coming across the line in P7. Ambient Stub was in P8. And we're waiting for the rest of the grid to come up. It was Jeff Spencer who took P9. Sam P10. Chris P11. Charlie Goff P12. Fastest lap. Right, so Ambient got a 1:12.7. And 1:12.3 for Valeside. So Valeside does take maximum points. He takes his 20 points for the win and a bonus point for the fastest lap. Well, that was a very interesting start to the race. Cars all over the shot at the very start, and then things got a little bit leery here or there. Hopefully we'll see the two drivers that were missing in the last race. Not Inter all sorts. It was Ice Dude who disappeared from the screen. So hopefully we'll have him back now. And we're missing a few other drivers actually. So hopefully the drivers will get that sorted as they hand over to the third race tonight, into the third card. It's the Aston Martin DBR1. After a short break, I'll be back to find out more about the car. And we are back. We're currently sitting on 12 drivers, so let's see who are we missing from the grid, and then we can head from there. There we go, so we're back on. So the Aston Martin DBR1, it's vintage car for a reason. 1959 is the Aston Martin DBR1. 254 horsepower apparently, with weighing only 856 kilos. So a car specifically built for racing in a time when didn't quite understand aerodynamics too much. Look at the spokes on those tyres. Well, that's not going to do wonders. But fantastic, massively powered, very torquey engine, and very reliant upon mechanical grip. So we are waiting here for everyone to get in their cars and sorted. So it looks like we've got Wayne in the number 5, Inter all sorts in the light blue 24, There's Charlie Goff in red 22, Ice Dude in green 30, Sam Thumbinger in the grey number 8, Kobe in number 18. There's Abisky in the red 28, 19 Vikingi. There's Ollie in the yellow 46, Chris is in the blue 44, Hailside in 25. It was 24 for Into All Sorts, number 9 for Jeff, number 45 for Jinx. So just checking everything else is fine. We still have the practice in place and the 15-minute race with no qualifying. So the random grids. Hopefully we'll see a bit more racing in these cars, and hopefully we'll see a few drivers able to go here and there. Let's invite a very enthusiast of this car, see if he is happy to join us. We'll see if he does something there. So apologies for that little bit of a delay, but we'll hold fire and see if he can join us at all. So we're just waiting to see if we can get into a bit of a chat. Obviously the driver's out on track, they're having their own conversations. Hopefully Jinx can hear us, he's joined the party, hopefully he's got his party on the right side of things. Just make sure, Jinx, if you can hear me, to make sure you can share your audio on your audio settings. That way the guys on the stream will be able to hear you. We've sent a message out to 2 of the drivers. We'll see if any of them come back and want to have a bit of a chat with us. I know these cars are very tricky. You see all the drivers are very eager to get out on track. We go from there. Fantastic looking these cars coming around the track, and they sound really good as well. We're just going to have a jump on board with Into All Sorts, just so you can kind of see what the drivers are seeing. The old school windscreen there and the steering wheel on board. Fantastic views to watch. The details in this car are amazing. I am. Can you hear me? Have you put your settings on so we can share the audio? Just if you yeah, it's no problem. Head into the party settings, and then check audio, and then make sure you've got the share audio and party audio, include party audio, things like that. There's 2 to click on.
Oh yeah, allow your voice to be shared.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Happy with that?
Yeah, good.
Thought I'd have a bit of a chat with you after that P4. Fantastic result in that last race. Really good racing. How was it for you?
Yeah, it felt great. I used the stable setup, and yeah, it seemed to work. Trying to stay out of trouble and just be a bit more smooth and a bit cautious on the throttle, and yeah, it seemed to work. Stayed out of trouble, and yeah.
Well, we saw that some of the more experienced drivers going sideways, and I think you only had one moment during the race, and that wasn't entirely your fault. I think we saw Abisky park his car on the exit of the airpin, and you had nowhere else to go, really.
Yeah, nowhere else to go, and apart from into the side of him, yeah, which was, yeah, a little bit annoying, but yeah, it didn't cost me too much time, thankfully, and managed to keep the 4th place, which was good.
Yeah, and you had Wayne hunting you down, so it's important you guys sorted it out, and you just make that move into the airpin on the next lap, which was really good to watch. We saw that live on stream. Hopefully you'll enjoy watching it back later. But it's nice to see you get that reward for putting in that consistency, put the laps in. You're not normally at the top end of the grid, but when you're there, it's really good to see.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks very much. It's, yeah, it seems to be working out all right at the moment so far. So far, so good tonight.
And the
Hopefully,
new equipment, how's that working for you with this different
yeah,
layout?
really good actually. Yeah, the new attachment's working pretty well and feel a lot more smoother on the wheel and not so much overturning, and yeah, it just feels, yeah, I feel a lot more better with it, that's for sure.
So of the 5 cars we're using tonight, which is your favourite to use?
Oh, that's a good question. I really enjoyed the GT5s actually. Last week was I really enjoyed those, so I'm quite looking forward to having a go at those around here. Should be pretty good.
So you might want to make sure you head out and put a lap in or two. At least these are very tricky cars as we're watching 5 guys heading to turn 1, and that's number 9, who I'm not sure. I don't think that's Sam. Number 9 taking out all the cones of the exit turn 1 there. Hopefully we get to see this during the race. These cars are a lot more difficult to control. You have to brake a lot earlier, turning relying so much on mechanical grip. So we'll hopefully see a few trucks. Well, that's the thing. That's what these cars are here for. They oh, there's number 9 going very sideways. Was that number 8? That's Sam. That's Sam number 8. He's using his rally pedigree there to get himself through the gravel and out the other side. Let's see if he does that in the race. It'll be interesting. But really glad you're in these races, Jinxie, and you're enjoying them so far.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, thanks very much. Yes,
feel free to head back and get to the practice, and hopefully we'll see you up here again in the future, because you've definitely got the skills you need to be at the top.
Thanks very much, mate.
Congratulations on that P4, mate. Good luck for the rest of the night.
Cheers.
So we're back. That was Jinx, who had a fantastic P4 in the Lamborghini Trofeo race. Was finished, I think it was 30 seconds off the lead in the end, but it wasn't about the 30 seconds off the lead. It was the hunting the 3 faster drivers ahead of him. Just another level today, which is really good to see. He's been working really hard, putting the time in. He's got a bit more equipment, about feeling more comfortable in the setup in the cars, and it's really good to see that sort of time pay off as we're watching 2 cars getting a little bit of friendship into 2-1. It is only practice, guys, but that's what we like to see. We like to see guys coming in and giving it your all. We don't expect people to be the fastest on every track or every time, even though Ambient Stuff gives it his best shot. And he is a very quick driver, but he would be the first to admit he's still got so much to learn, even though it is pretend racing driver, and hopefully making it into the real world part of the driving, no part of an amateur and no longer in pretend. As Veilside jumps to the top of the board in this practice session, he's done a 26.3. Now we don't know whether that is a good time or not in these cars. What we do know is that a number of drivers are struggling on the brakes into turn 1. And we also know that these cars are very torque heavy, and I think the slipstream is going to be very potent. I expect once you're in the battle, it's going to be difficult to leave the car behind. As you can hear them working down the gears there. The yellow having a look on the inside. There's a way for it there once your nose is in. Has he got the speed on the exit? Not this time around. So a very mixed grid in this car, very certain style of driving. It's 4 drivers into the 27, so expect this to change coming into the actual race. So there's the screen so far on the sort of timings people are putting in. But again, you can't take much of this. They've only got 10 minutes. Cannot stress that enough. There is only 10 minutes to be able to get these times in. Now we're back up to 14 drivers. So the ice is back, and there's Ambient Stuff. I wonder if he had a disconnect for a moment, but he is back. He is in the pit, so he's back in time for the race, crucially. I'm really looking forward to this one. Personally, well, let's see how these guys fare. The cars are just absolutely fantastic. They sound so good, and when you get a series of them on the track like we have here, they are really good to watch. And here we go on the bonnet view. You can just see the mayhem ahead. It is Charlie Goff in the slipstream. That's how powerful a slipstream is here, but can he get the car stopped on the brakes? And the answer to that question on this occasion is no. It says he takes the long way around. So just look through the order. There we have, this is Valeside, he's in the 25 car. There's Kingy in the number 19. It's Ollie in the yellow 46, and we check few here. There is Inter All Sorts in the blue 24. Sam is in number 8. There is Chris in the 44, blue 44. Charlie Goff in the red 22. Jeff Spencer's number 9. Wayne in the number 5 car. There's Kobe in the green 18. Jinx, the guy driver who was chatting to at the start of practice, he's there in the blue 45. And we have Ice Dude in the black, I think that's 30, and then Ambient Stuff in the red 23. So 14 drivers on the practice reel here. So we'll see how they all fare when we head out to the track shortly. This is your third race of tonight. Third race. There are 5 in total. We've had the Formula Renault 3.5s won by Kingy in the end. Sam Thumping with a great P2. Then we had the Lamborghini Super Trofeo cars. This is our sprint race championship. We keep 6 rounds in this championship. So the new track every week, but the cars remain the same for the series, and then we swap out the cars and the tracks for next season. We saw on our stream last week when we chatted a little bit to Ambient Stuff, although I don't think his audio was able to pass through across on stream. We had just to verify that these are 4 of the 5 of the cars we're running are independent cars. So what I mean by that is they are brand new to this year. A very interesting message to have there, because it's still streaming live. I'm not entirely sure what that came up on the top of the screen there, but we are still live. So yeah, the season 1 we ran M1 Pro cars, BMW M1 Pro cars. They have their own series now. On the Wednesday night there are Geo Race series, GT5s. We had Lotus 25s, Formula Rookies, and I can never remember the final car. The Ferrari 488 was the final car, and we swapped between the different variants of the 488 throughout the season. Not such case this time around. So this is round 2 at Barcelona, and we're heading to further tracks, but more on that later. Right now, the grid, it is Jinx on pole. So Jinx takes that good result into P1. Sam is on P2. Expect him to shoot away pretty quickly if he can keep the car in a straight line. Charlie Goff in P2, Jeff Spencer P4, Wayne in P5, Valeside in P6, Chris P7, Kingy is in P8, Kobe is in P9, Ice P10, Abiski P11, Ollie in P12, Inter All Sorts P13, and Ambient at the back of the grid with P14. We've been at the back for most of the night. Making sure I send our Ambient Stuff a message, so see how he feels about that grid placement, because I don't think he'll be happy having to fight his way through the order. We might see him later on in the other cars in the Clio or the GT5 move towards the front of the grid, or at least in one of the other cars, one of the other rounds. But for now, the cars are all on the grid. They've all chosen their setups, and we're on to 2-3 red lights. And we're away. There's a really fast starting car at the back there. No penalty, I believe. So everyone started legit as expected. Sam has done a fantastic start off the line, but can he get the car stopped in time? Let's have a look further down the order. There's 19. That's Kingy. He's got on the outside line. Driver's keeping it very clean onto the exit. It's Sam who leads, so they come up to the left hand. There's a bit of rubbing there between the two drivers. It's that running a little bit wide in the blue 45. So it is Sam who leads the drivers into the hairpin for the first time. He's chased down by Charlie Goff, and it's Wayne who's found himself into P3. There's an absolute chaos happening behind. There's a number of cars all battling over each other. That's the battle for effectively 6th position as Ambient Stub makes a move on. That's Jeff Spencer there. So Ambient have a look at the move from Jeff Spencer, and Ollie takes advantage. But Jeff Spencer rejoined the track, doesn't see that he's there. And that is Ollie who's been spun around. Bad luck for Ollie. I don't think there's any malice or intent there. Jeff was just rejoining the circuit and didn't see the bright yellow car beside him. So it is Sam who leads lap 1 and leads considerably. Is that Charlie Goff in through the pit lane? I'm not entirely sure why he's into the pit, unless he's took the wrong lane or he had a penalty. But that's going to drop him all the way down the order. Meanwhile, it is Valeside who now takes up the mantle in P2, and then there's absolute mayhem, bedlam behind. Here is Wayne, Ambient, and Kingy. Just going to jump on board and see what Wayne is seeing. There's 4 cars there. That's Chris in the blue car ahead. Then it's Ambient in the red 23. That's Kingy in the 19, and you're riding on board with Wayne, who's in the green number 5. Trying to keep this car on the circuit. Very soft, relies heavily upon mechanical grip. Now this car is from the 1950s. All 4 drivers in on top. This is Kingy. Will he have a look at move on the inside of Chris into the airpin? He gets car position, but it's no way through. But Chris has pulled the car around under braking, and Wayne has been able to keep out of that. There's Obi takes advantage, and into 2. Chris drops down as he gets a little bit in the way of rejoining back on board, and he's dropped down into 9th. Really good result there for Kingy, Wayne and Obi, but not so much for Chris, who's slowly dropping down the order. Bisky has a look on the inside of Wayne. Wayne not able to get the car stopped after a little bit of a bump. He will concede a position. Really fair racing there by Wayne. So he concedes a position to Bisky, who moves off the track, and that is Inter All Sorts in the light blue car, now hunting him down. Remember, the slipstream is really strong in these cars, especially if you're behind 2 of them. You get that double slipstream. It is very potent. This currently the closest battle on track, as Sam has checked out on front. He's got a 5-second lead over Valeside, but Ambient Stub. Oh, apologies, creating my own team name there. Ambient Stub and Inter All Sorts will not be best pleased, I'm sure. But it's Ambient Stub closing down in P3. Kingy's in P4, and we're watching Obi ski here with Inter All Sorts and Wayne for company. Inter All Sorts is now through past Wayne. Where is Wayne? Wayne has had a moment. He's dropping down the order, and that is going to put him under pressure. In fact, he is under pressure. Chris and Ice Dude are now through. Ice Dude is in the green number 30. He's running a very quiet race, but he's working his way up the order in this one. Has he got enough time to put pressure on the guys ahead? Seems like a number of these drivers are able to keep it on the track, but the car is becoming a bit of a handful as the tyres start to heat up. 10.5 minutes to go with 4 laps in, so expect to see another 6 laps or so. 5 or 6 levels in this car. Veilside able to catch up a lot of time on this last lap. So Vale took 2 seconds, 2 whole seconds out of the leader, and Ambient Stub behind took 2.5. Kingy even took time out of the leader, so the front 4 drivers closing in on Sam Thumbfinger, so he's not going to have the easiest of 10 seconds if he's not able to keep his foot down. There is Vale now, only 1.5 seconds behind the leader. Further back, Inter Orsort is going to be having a look at a move on the inside of Verbisky in a moment. Will he try and line the car up? Riding on board with Inter Orsort. Can he have a look on the inside? Verbisky runs deep. Can he get the car stopped in time? He can. Is he going to have a good run out of the corner? He is. Inter Orsort's gained enough time there, but Verbisky there taking wider line out. He should see a better drive off the corner if he can put the power down. But Inter Orsort's taking the more conventional line, slowing the car down a little. Verbisky's doing everything he can to keep Inter Orsort behind. Inter Orsort's the minute is just keeping to his lines, but he does have a really good run off the exit. Verbisky getting the car very tail happy on the curbs there, meaning that Inter Orsort's had to pull out, but no intention was made. As we jump on track side, has Inter Orsort's got enough pace to make it? He moves to the outside, moves to the inside. Can he get him later on the brakes? This is going to be perfect situation for Ollie. Verbisky runs deep. Inter Orsort's look on the inside. No way through. Now Ollie is here. Ollie is here knocking on the door, and can he have a look for a move? Meanwhile, out the front, it's a very similar situation. In fact, there's Ambient Stub, who's now no time at all behind the leader, and Veilside is there as well. So there's a 3-way battle for P1, 2 and 3, and a 3-way battle here for 5, 6 and 7. As it stands, it's Kingy is the one of the loneliest men in the world. He in P4, expect to be in P4 and be in a lonely battle, but here is Ambient Stub. We're going to jump on board here with Ambient Stub. Ambient Stub in the red 23, that's Veilside in the light blue 25 in P2, and Sam in the number 8 ahead. He's in the worst position now, Sam, as Stub looks to take a different line to try and gain some speed, but it's not quite working at this point. Has Vale gonna have a look on the inside? No, it's too far back. Sam's just able to get too much a good drive as Ambient Stub carries way too much speed into the corner and runs very, very deep. He'll be back on the tail of this battle in no time, I am sure. Sam looking to struggle with traction, and he gets a very big wobble on, and that's Vale. Veilside racing his into the lead. And now Sam is going to be under pressure from Stub. In fact, he's let him go. I wonder if Sam is struggling with traction and heat and these old track tyres. But this battle is not over yet. I'm sure this battle is not over yet. It's Veilside who takes the lead. Ambient Stub in P2, and there's Sam in P3. Can see the lead, but there's still 6.5 minutes left to go. And the slipstream round here is very potent. Further back, we've got Ollie now, who's overtaken Inter Orsort. So Inter Orsort's able to get ahead of Verbisky, but loses a place to Ollie. These two guys, good old days of touring cars. Now Ollie's made a big mistake there. He's run way too deep into the hairpin, and that's gifted Inter Orsort's the move. Ollie will not be happy, but he'll certainly have the pace to come back at him next lap. How's the rest of the field faring? It's Verbisky in P7 and Chris H in P8. Charlie Goff is in P9 and Wayne is in P10. All these drivers very similarly gapped, actually quite close in the field. There's only 7 seconds between these drivers. Ice Dude's in P11 and there's Jinx is in P10. Really quick lap out for Jinx, who's covering from a mistake, but he's only 41 seconds down. Jeff Spencer is in P13. Probably not used to these cars. I know he lacks something with a bit more grip. You can see him managing his throttle responses there. And it's Kobe who's in P14 there, and he's about to be lapped by the leaders. So let's see Kobe head out of the way when the leaders get there. Looks like he's struggling with a lot of damage there. as he moves clear off the line, not able to keep that car in a straight line. There's a moment of the car and there's a collision with the car behind, and Kobe is round and into the wall. Curious to see who that was that he had the collision with, but let's hope it's not one of the front runners. I think it was a 40 something. There's the front runners here coming through now. So it is Valeside Racing who has Ambient Stub for company in P2. Less than half a second as they come onto the straight down to 2-1. Ambient Stub has gained 2/10 in the first part of this alone. But he doesn't have enough to catch up at the straight. Ambient Stub braking a lot earlier, taking that shallower line. Valeside takes that wider route, almost like a NASCAR high line and low line, but it works for the initial part of the corner, but not for the second part, as Ambient Stub now has a fantastic run up the hill. Is he going to take a look on the inside? He does. Has he got enough to stick? As we come into the final part of the S's, he does. It's Valeside has to run very deep, but you've got to watch he doesn't take Sam out on the return. He doesn't. Brilliant racing there by Ambient Stub. Very fair. Valeside has run out of room, and Sam Thumpfinger makes his way up into P2. So Ambient, cool, calm, collected, is made his way through the grid and up into P1. Valeside is back on Sam there. Sam's had a mistake at the airpin, it seems. And that's let Valeside back through. It's battle further back. Again, Kingy is in P4, loneliest man in the world, and the other two battles are Biscuit in 7 and Chris is in P8. It's the battle for P7 there, and Inter all sorts and Ollie are going at it. I'm pretty sure that race is not over. With 3 minutes left to go, Abisky is now lost position to Chris, and he's under pressure from Charlie Guff. Shortly, there's the darker maroon colour of Abisky and the very passionate red of Charlie Guff behind, and Wayne is in suit, so Abisky needs to be careful. One more mistake and you can see him drop him down to 11th and potentially even 12th. His guys at the back of the grid having their own little battle, but here is Inter All Sorts. Is he close enough this time around? Jumping on board, brakes nice and early. He's going to look for the undercut. Ollie is defending, he parks his car on the apex, and Inter All Sorts closer than he has been in previous laps, but can he force his way through? He's got a good run coming up the hill. I wouldn't expect to move on the inside here. I expect Inter All Sorts to wait for the right moment, but unsettled under the car ahead, he makes a little bit of an uncharacteristic mistake. Don't normally see Inter All Sorts make those sort of mistakes when he's hunting cars down. So see Ollie nice and early on the brakes, gets the car rotated and puts on the power, and Inter All Sorts follow suit. A few more battles through the order as Kobe has dropped out of the race. He has retired after that damage. This is Jeff Spencer battling with Jinx. Nothing between these two drivers. Really good to see these two racing. Both drivers not really accustomed to this type of car, but still giving it their all either way. There's Zabisky, who has lost out to Charlie Goff now. He's having a little bit of a free fall down the field, but he's just trying to push too hard, it seems, on this car. This car does not respond well to the harder you push it. Out front, it's the ever-changing podium positions, as Sam has regained P2, but Valeside is still there, pushing him all the way. This is by far the most competitive race we've had so far. That is, unless you're Kingy in P4, who's been able to watch quietly easily. He's out for a nice Friday night drive. 5 seconds or so to the guys ahead and 7 seconds to the guys behind. Everyone else is being embroiled in a battle somewhere down the line, but he won't mind, I don't think, but I'm sure he'd want to be up in the battle further ahead. But he's there for a reason, he's there to collect his points. Where is Ambient Stub? Are we going to see one more lap? We've completed 10. We're waiting for the timer to tick down. There's 7 seconds behind. Ambient won't have enough time to wait for time to take over, so we are going to have one more lap here as we go on to the 11th lap. This is your race leader, Ambient Stub. He has 9 seconds over Sam and Valeside in P2. This is Valeside fighting all over the back of Sam. Sam goes defensive. Will Valeside have a look on the inside later on the brakes? As we swap back to the camera, here's Valeside through. Sam very fair, concedes the corner, but now Valeside is going to be under pressure coming up the hill. Further back there is Kingy in P4, Ollie in P5, who's lost into all sorts now. Ollie is his place to lose. There's Chris, really good recovery drive from him, he's in P7. Charlie Goff in P8, and there is Zabisky, and Wayne is in P10. There's Wayne in the back of the shot there, followed by Ice Dude, Jeff Spencer and Jinx. So far, all 13 drivers on the lead lap. Barring a catastrophic error by most of these drivers, that's how it should finish. Zabisky now seems to settle his rhythm down. He's starting to catch up on Charlie Goff, and the other battle is Sam lumping it for the P2 position, but I don't think he's going to have enough to get it across the line. Here is Ambient Stub to take the first win of the evening, and first win in quite a while, I think, for Ambient Stub in these sprint races. He's enjoying himself so much he didn't even realise the race was over, and we normally get a cheeky little flash and dance across the line. Ambient Stub, but a good race there nonetheless. Here is Valeside taking P2 with less than 2 tenths in the end to Sam in P3. The loneliest race in the world for Kingy, but he picks up P4. Really good points for Kingy. Here's Ollie after an intense battle with Inter All Sorts. Should be taking the P5 position as he comes across the line. It's P5 for Ollie and P6 for Inter All Sorts. Really good battle between those two. Really good to see. Chris, a bit of a slow start. I'm not sure what happened. I'm not sure if he got caught up. He was the driver who got caught up with Kobe's spin. But he's finished in P7 nonetheless. Good result for Chris. Highest result was of the night, I believe. Charlie Goff in P8, and there is Wayne in P9. Not his type of car, but I'm sure he had a really enjoyable race nonetheless. Ice Dude comes across the line in 10, and it is Ice Dude in 10. It's Obi. Oh, he's let Obi go ahead there. I'm not sure what's happened between the two, but Obi takes P10, Ice takes P11, Jeff Spencer in 12, and Jinx in P13. Fantastic for all these drivers, and the first driver of the night, first race of the night, where all of the cars are on the lead lap. So full credit to all 13 drivers there. That was a really enjoyable race to watch, and really enjoyable to commentate on. In fact, I am going to have to get a drink shortly because that was intense. Who was it that picked up the fastest lap, you may ask? We're looking at a 1:24.17 for 1:26.6 for Inter, 1:26.6, 1:26.5, a 1:25.3. It was Ambient Stub with a 1:24.3, 1 full second faster than Valeside Racing. That's a really good lap time for a Stub there. It's become a bit of a meme in the Fresh Sim Racing League. The good lap Stub. But this one is well deserved. From towards the back of the grid to P1 with the fastest lap. I don't think you can ask for much more than that, and we might have a bit of a chat with him in a little bit to find out more. So let's make sure we get in another driver. We're going to bring in the Flying Scotsman. He's joining us. He's not able to join us earlier on in the evening, but the Flying Scotsman is with us now. We'll get him into the lobby as we move across to the Clio Cup next. There we go, over to the Clio Cup. What is this Clio Cup? Well, it's very popular. A very popular car in Project S2 in the sim racing world. Partly because it's not very good, or at least in my opinion, it's not very good. But it always brings up really close racing. For a front-wheel drive car, they are very tail happy, but a lot of grip, really good on the brakes. Because there isn't much pace there, you don't tend to see one driver shoot way ahead of the rest. With one very small mistake, you're straight away in the back of the grid. We've just seen Inter All Sorts has left session there, waiting for everyone to get their numbers and everything on track, and then we'll be back out with the race. Hopefully we'll be able to have a chat with either Wayne or with Ambient Stubb, the last race winner, and then planning at some point to have a chat with, hopefully we'll have a chat with Sam Thumbinger, and maybe even have a word with Ollie. We'll see how his race fares in the GT5 or the Clios. Don't forget, to those who are currently watching now, if you enjoyed what you've seen so far, even if you're some of the drivers, don't forget that like button. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe to us and you'll get the notifications when we go live. We have races on Friday nights. This is a sim race. This entire season 2 is going to be streamed. I did promise you the rest of the calendar actually, and I didn't let you know. So this is round 2, Catalunya. Next week, next Friday, on the 20th of November, we head to Laguna Seca. On the 27th of November, we are racing the Nuremberg Sprint Circuit. And on the 4th of December, we head over to Brands Hatch. That is going to be a wet race. So that's the only wet race, but every single race and all the cars will be wet there. And then the final race of the season will be at Bathurst. Bathurst, which I expect is a lot longer track, a very tricky technical track, but I think it's going to be good nonetheless. Right, let's see if we can get Wayne into our little chat here. Let's find him. Where is he gone? But that's over delay, so hopefully we'll have Wayne coming to join us in a moment. We're looking forward to speaking to Wayne. So we'll see once he's got his party thing sorted up. He'll come and join us for a bit of a chinwag.
Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Wayne. Good to hear from you. How's your night going so far?
That's going well. I had a good result in the first race in the Formula Renault. I was happy with that. Got a 3rd place there, which was better than I did last week. So that was very satisfying. Nice to get on the podium for a 2nd time this week. Then, yeah, the Lamborghinis. Interesting race there. I think I finished 6th in the Lamborghinis, which I guess overall I was reasonably happy with. As you know, we have to choose between 2 default setups on a Friday night, and I think I would have been better off choosing the stable over the loose setup because the conditions weren't favourable to loose. So those drivers that chose stable seemed to do better, and those that chose loose struggled a little bit. But anyway, 6th is still a decent result. Happy with that. Then the last race, yeah, a little bit disappointed. Made a mistake battling with Inter fairly early on. Put a couple of wheels on the dirt. Ended up going into the kitty litter. And I think I finished 9th in the end. So started well. I guess it's going backwards a little bit in the latter stages, but still 2 races to go, so we can pull it back.
It's really good watching the cars around in those DBR ones. It's the first race tonight. We had all drivers on the lead lap as well, so even the guys who are maybe not so quick in it seem to be more consistent, which is odd considering how inconsistent that car is to drive sometimes.
Yeah, it's a challenge to drive that DBR one. Interesting fun fact for you as well, I'm racing in number 5, which I found out having watched Le Mans 66 at the weekend was the exact car that Carroll Shelby won Le Mans in 1959, so it's got some heritage, that particular car.
There you go, some amateur pretend heritage. Fun facts for you. As we're watching one of the cars ahead hit the curb on the final chicane and decide it doesn't need to run on 2 wheels, the 4 wheels, one will be absolutely fine. I don't think that's going to last very much longer in a race. Good job, this is only practice. But that's a bit of a prelude actually to why you're here for your chat, because I want to talk more about that fantastic result you had on Wednesday out in Fuji in the BMW M1 Pro car in this stiffy wet stuff.
Yep, very pleased with that. As you know, I went with a contra strategy to most of the other drivers. I'd worked out in practice that I could make a one-stop strategy work, but I'd have to Fuel save during the race, keep a very close eye on the fuel, and I knew that because we're only allowed to use one set of tyres in the pit stop, that I'd be running on a drying track with very worn, wet tyres at the end. So I was certainly quite slow towards the end of the race, but fortunately, I'd started in 13th at the back of the grid, didn't have a very good qualifying, but yeah, I managed to finish in P2. So I was very, very pleased. That's my first second place in our online championship, so I'm very, very pleased with that. As you say, tricky race, difficult conditions, but yeah, the strategy worked out perfectly. Kept my nose clean, kept a close eye on the fuel. I think I crossed the line with about half a litre of fuel left, so I literally ran it as close as I possibly could.
I was going to ask you, you say you was fuel saving, how much did it close to get in the end, and half a litre is about as close as you really want to push it, isn't it?
Yeah. It was certainly the last 10 laps I was doing maths every time I was coming down the straight, working out how many laps I thought were going to be left.
Well, thankfully you're at Fuji, there's plenty of time.
Yes, that's right, it's just a long straight, yeah. But yeah, I was keeping a very close eye on it.
A bit about tonight, what's your favourite car in this setup so far, the 5 choice, and what's the car you've enjoyed driving the most so far? I know we've only had 1.5 rounds, but...
I've actually got to say the Formula Renault. It's the first time I've driven them, but they're very challenging to drive because they're so fast. But when you get it right and you get it dialed in, it just feels amazing because it's just the change of direction's amazing. The brakes are amazing. It's so quick on the straights. Obviously, you're using the DRS as well, which is another challenge. I'm sure you saw earlier in practice I was experimenting with trying to use that early coming out of a corner onto the straight, and it didn't end very well. But no, I'm enjoying driving the Formula Renaults for sure. A little bit surprised, but yeah, I'm enjoying those.
Which car is your biggest challenge you finding in this one? Because we've got a bit of a blend. I know last year we had a lot of rear-wheel drive cars, but we've got the Clios in here, a front-wheel drive car, and a couple of different power sets. So, which one are you?
Yeah. Well, last week it was actually the Clios for me. I think it was because I went into the race with a loose setup, and the lift-off oversteer that I was experiencing was pretty violent in that little Clio last week. So I'm not going to go with the loose setup tonight. I'm going to go with the stable. So hopefully it's a little bit easier to drive. I'm a little bit surprised because I thought, being one of the slower cars and more modern cars, it wouldn't be that tricky. But yeah, that's the one that caught me out last week, so I'll see how it goes tonight. Obviously that's our next race.
With 5 minutes left to go, I think we'll let you go and get a few laps of practice in best you can, and good luck for the remaining 2 races of the night. It's been a fantastic treat speaking to you, and once again congratulations on that highest placed P2. Won't be long until you get that P1, I'm sure.
Thank you, Nathan. Speak to you soon, buddy. Cheers.
Have a good race. So just waiting for the last of practice now. There's 4 minutes or so left. That was Wayne, who seen improve leaps and bounds. He's got himself into a nice position. He's got it set up almost to the point where he wants it. A few issues with being able to get the pedals in the right place and wheel in the right place is absolutely crucial. Even though it's amateur pretend racing, you want to be in a comfortable position you can. You don't want to be straining, especially some of the races you can run could be up to 2 hours, and if you're in the wrong position, you're going to figure it out quite early on. So really good to see him put that effort, get reward for the effort that he's putting in fact. Back onto the effort track in these clears, we're seeing a mixed bag of times. Actually, Wayne's not been able to put a time in yet, but few drivers are going to start struggling. I expect Ice Dude to come big on these sort of tracks. Charlie Goff as well. He's my man to watch. Him and Ollie are the 2 that I'm going to be promoting for. They might surprise you out here. So I know a couple of the drivers might be getting a little bit tired. Might be using a little bit of liquid encouragement at this time of night, but these sort of cars you can start rubbing and racing in now. So we're going to go into the GT5 next. This is the Flying Scotsman. He was here in round 1. He's been on dad duty tonight, I'd assume, and he's out with us now. So all his dad duties are complete, and he's now free to go back racing. And that's one of the key things about the setup that we've run. If you can't make the earlier races, it doesn't matter too much. Like I said, there's drop rounds available. There's one drop round in every class. So if you're not able to make a certain class, it doesn't really matter. We're racing for the overall championship in terms of total points and individual championships. So each car has its own championship. So if you're struggling in the one car, doesn't really matter so much. You can put that one on the back burner and get some more practice in. Wayne's been getting some practice in the Formula Renault. He's flying Mike. He's got a very deep there. Lost all the pace on the exit, but Wayne's been putting that time in the Formula Renault, and he saw the results. P3 in the Formula Renault. I know he's putting a lot of time in his racing when he can. We're all very busy, and even with the lockdown, we've all still got a lot of work to do. It's a lot of cars out on track, which is good to see into the last few minutes of practice. Looking down at the lists, we have lost into all sorts at the moment. I think he's car's only on 2 wheels there with the camera bounces that landed. Into all sorts isn't with us right now, so he's applying one of his drop rounds to this race. I'm sure you get one drop race in every in and out of the 6, and the drop rounds, they link to the car, not necessarily the entire round, so you can drop one result from each championship and that'll be your combined 5 dropped results. What it does mean though is we can have a good look at the numbers going into Bathurst, so all drop rounds must be completed going into Bathurst, and we will know where everyone stands into that final race. After tonight we should have 18 or so drivers with points on the board, so it'll be good to see in 4 weeks time who it is that's going to be fighting for each championship. Each of the races will be live streamed as they happen, and with you for the entire season 2. We've got a couple of new plans coming in for season 3 which are really exciting, which imply the use of a bit of handicap timing and maybe even effectively a chase down race where faster drivers will get a time penalty which they serve in the pit lane, and then they effectively have to chase down the guys in the slower cars ahead. We will be running a version of this as a special event at the end of the season. So on the 18th of December we're running a special event, which if it gets live streamed, should be getting live streamed. It's going to be fantastic to watch. You're going to see all of the 10 top cars, so the Formula Renault won't be included, but you'll see the Vintage, you'll see the Clio, you'll see the Lamborghini, and you will see the GT5 all racing around the same track at the same time, but all with different elements of pace and skills and abilities, and the drivers also as well, but all the ability will be balanced off, and it's effectively planned, so the drivers on the last lap will all hit the last lap exactly at the same time. So it's very, very interesting battle if you're on a slower car and you're hunting everyone onto the final lap. But here are the 14 drivers. Everyone is in place. 14 drivers for this Renault Clio Cup race. So the 10 minutes practice done. Over to the random grid for the 15-minute race. Who have we got? It's Ollie on pole. Ollie's on pole. The Flying Scotsman is on P2. Kingy is on P3. Let's have a look at the cars here. There's Kingy in the purple Clio there, and the blue and black for Flying Scotsman. Obisky is in P4. Sam in P5, bright orange car, can't miss that one. Charlie Goff is in the yellow and black. Ambient is in the white car there. Next to Ice Dude in P8. Chris H in P9. Kobe in P10. Wayne, who we were speaking to earlier on in practice, is in P11. Veilside in P12. Jeff Spencer in P13. In Nicholas Hamilton's monster delivery car, and there's Jinx at the back of the grid for his second time. So interested to see what is going to make of this race. We have the race starting in 15 minutes. 14 drivers on the grid. 15 minutes of Barcelona National Circuit for our penultimate race of the night. The final race, fifth and final race, is the Ginetta GT5, and I expect that race to be very tightly contested. As for the race at hand, we have 2 lights, 3 lights, and there are away. It's a really sluggish start for Flying Scotsman. Ollie got off to a good start. We see all the cars going into turn 1. Jump on the roof here, the cars at the back. Here's Jeff Spencer, a bit of a bumping here because the car spun round, and that's the car flipped over completely. That's a lot of damage. Is that ice? I think that is ice. He's been spun around and been helped onto his back and into the air. Other than that, all other 13 drivers are away, nice and clean. There's Ollie leading there, and there's Kingy in P2, Sam in P3, Charlie Goff in P4, Obi in P5, Ambien in 6, Flying Scotsman, it looks like he's got going offline there in P7. Has he picked up damage? If not, he certainly has now. He's been spun around there by one of the white cars ahead. Not sure who that was, but he's around nonetheless. This is the battle here for P2 and onward. So Ollie's been able to get a clean breakaway, and this is the battle for what's happening further down the field. We're going to jump. Following here, there's Charlie Goff overhead. There's Sam Thumbfinger is all over the back of Kingy. Has he got enough to take on the inside? But look at the Charlie Goff is gaining all the time when they're straight. Can he get the car stopped in time? He can. Is he going to get a position from the inside of Kingy there? It looks like he is. He's done it. He's gained Kingy there, but disappointed. He's lost 2 positions in the 1 lap. But Sam Thumbfinger is now free, and Charlie Goff. Charlie and Ollie are the 2 drivers who have earmarked for. They're going to do better than probably what they've done so far tonight. Both I consider front wheel drive specialists, and it's starting to show there. Kingy's had a bit of a moment, and that's allowed Obi through. Abiski is now up into P4, and Kingy has dropped down to P5. Further back there's Kobe in P6. He's got a really good position now. He needs to just keep focused on his race, and hopefully he'll be able to get a good result from that. There is Valeside in P7. Ambien is in P8. Then there's a bit of a gap then to Jeff Spencer in P9. Jinx is in P10. Wayne is in P11. Flying Scotsman in P12. Not sure what's happened to the Flying Scotsman other than that collision last lap, sorry. And further there's Chris, who's not having the cleanest of nights. He seems to be caught up in a lot of incidents here and there. And Ice, whose weight saving measures are clearly going to be causing him some discomfort there. There's no boot, no bonnet, no bumper, and almost no rear bumper. But we'll see how the rest of the race fares. On to lap 3, 12 minutes left to go. Ollie out front, he's leading Sam Thumbfinger by less than a second, and Charlie Goff is keeping all these cars honest. He's in P3, he's there in the yellow cup, but he's going to run very deep there. That'll cost him a lot of time. And you see, hope he yields and doesn't gain an advantage for that, because you only get 2 of those. 2 moments, those mistakes where you cut and you gain an advantage. On the 3rd one, you will be given a time penalty post-race. So we'll apply the post-race penalties, and you could see him fall down the grid if he picks up too many of those. This is Sobski in P4. There's Valeside and Kingy behind, but they're not really catching a great enough. So Sobski's having a really good race here. We saw him P4 early racing the rear-wheel drive cars, but he seems to be very comfortable in his Clios, and he's got a lot of pace to show for it. Meanwhile, back up front, has Sam got what it takes to close up to Ollie at this point, and I think he has. He's around. I wonder if Ollie's made a mistake on that last lap, because it's Sam who's now leading the race. The last lap out was a 22.5, Ollie with a 24.1, and Charlie Goff with a 22.9. So yeah, Ollie definitely had a bit of a mistake on the last lap. 10 minutes left to go, and the front 10 drivers separated by no less than 10 seconds. There's Kobe, the last of those drivers, in P8. Really good racing by the guys in these cars, very close for sure. Here's this battle. three drivers battling for the first place, and then you've got 3 drivers battling in for P4. Only other battle is the drivers coming back through the grid after a couple of issues. 3 drivers here. Here's Ambient to join this battle as well. Is he closing on this? He's 2 seconds behind. Here's Veilside taking a lot of curb into that corner as Abisky is pushing Kingy back off the line. Is he keeping the place? Yes, he runs wide, able to return and able to keep the position, but he's going to be vulnerable as they come onto the home straight. Going to jump on board with Vale. Let's see how Vale is racing. Very good exit on the final corner. Kingy's going to have to look to try and gain the slipstream from the car ahead and be wary of Vale making attempts behind. But Abisky has a very good exit out of the final corner. Vale having a look on the inside of Kingy. Kingy's already lost a position here. Slows the car down just by getting the car sideways, but Kingy's still there, fighting back on the inside. He does have the inside line for this corner come up here, and Veilside uses just enough of the curb to be able to gain the position. Really good fighting for Kingy there. Not giving up position, and I don't think this battle is over. I think his foot's going to be firmly planted to try and maximise his result. Meanwhile, out front, Charlie Goff's dropped back from this lead battle a little bit. It's Ollie all over the back, and you see the other battle happening directly behind. So the grid very closely contested now, coming up to towards the halfway mark. 5 laps completed. Your race leader there in the yellow and black livery, Sam Thumbfinger, is chased very closely by Ollie there in the J livery, the silver livery there. Then it's Charlie Goff here in the yellow and white. Abisky there is in the light blue car, and he is finally losing that P4. He's at a stellar battle. Kingy taking an emergency manoeuvre there as his cars get very tight in. Kingy's on the inside line. Let's have a look on board with Ambient Stop. He's got the perfect view for this. All 3 cars going into the corner. Kingy is the one who benefits though. It's Veilside who loses out. He was in 4th going into the corner, and in fact coming out turn 2 he might be down into 5th. Not this time around. Kingy leads Veilside as Abisky makes a mistake coming out of turn 2, and that's going to make him vulnerable to Ambient Stop, who out of nowhere has been able to catch this group of cars who are battling tooth and nail. Will Ambient Stop be able to put a move on the inside this time around? No, but Abisky thinks about it, stops the car in time, makes sure he doesn't make the contact. Ambient onto 2 wheels. That's not going to help you catch the guys ahead. Kingy is the guy in the purple livery out front, and then you've got Veilside in the green, white and black. Abisky is in the car that's in the light blue and turquoise, and you're riding on board with Ambient Stub, who is in the white checkered car there, hunting these cars down. This is the closest battle on track. It's a 4-way battle, and they're all fighting for P4. Will we see more of the same again? This time it's Kingy who heads into turn 1 in the prime position, but he's going to be under fire from all 4 cars behind. Will Vale look for the inside? Abisky looks to make a late move, gets the car slowed down back to his racing line. No way through this time around. 6 minutes left to go. We're on to lap 7. All 14 drivers still in the race, despite Ice having almost half his car missing. We'll get to that in a moment. At the moment, this battle is very pressing. Out front, Sam is still leading by a second over Charlie Goff. Over Ollie, and Charlie Goff is behind. That time hasn't really changed. Sam maybe pulling away ever so slightly at this stage as Veilside gets very sideways under braking, looking to avoid Kingy there, does so, but now he's put himself under pressure, and there's Ambient Stub. he is always in that position to try and take advantage. Can he make his way through? The outside racing there gets really good exit. Let's see if he can maximise exit off this corner. Let's avoid these sausage curves on the exit. They really do slow you down. So for the third time with asking, we are going 4 cars in a line into turn 1. There is the Charlie Goff ahead. He's actually losing a bit of time to these cars behind. They're using each other as Zabisky gets very deep. He gets a move on Valeside, but he's not able to hold it, and that is going to cost him down the grid. Has he recovered? He has. So he is back up and racing, but he went for the P4 and he's going to have to take P7, and if he gets a move on, he'll be able to keep back up with the train of these cars. Charlie Goff's dropped off the train of the 2 guys ahead, and if he's not careful, he's going to be caught up by these 3 guys. Are these 3 going to keep fighting each other and jeopardise a position? There's definitely a P3 there for one of these guys, if they can work together potentially to go chase down. But there's a moment there as Valeside takes way too much curb, and he's the driver who's now recovering. Zabisky is back on track ahead and is able to catch back up relatively quickly. So coming on to lap 9, 4 minutes, less than 4 minutes left to go. It's Sam Thumbfinger with the lead. There's Ollie, still less than a second. Don't think find a way through though, but he's got to keep working at it. There's Charlie Goff in P3. He's being closed down by this epic battle behind. You can see all 4 cars there. Charlie Goff trying his best to keep up with the guys ahead and making sure he doesn't get caught in that gap of the cars behind. There's Kingy in P4. He's got Ambient Stub all over the back of him. Ambient Stub, the beneficiary of the 2 moments on the last lap. Zabisky there is in P6. He's starting to drop off the other 2 cars now, but he does have Valeside for company, and Valeside Racing is not done, I'm sure. 3 minutes left to go, still about 3 laps to go. There's Kobe in P8. He's having really good races, Kobe, and he's got Jeff Spencer and Wayne now for company as well. There's another 3-way battle. Just who thought this race wasn't interesting enough. We've got a battle at the front, and then 2 battles in the middle of the field, and now another battle at the back. There's Chris and Flying Scotsman. These 2 are racing as well, so there's battles throughout the grid. Now there's Ice Dude, who's missing, as you can see, a lot of his car. His car did flip and roll on lap 1 going into the first corner. And there's Jinx. He's just getting used to the car. It's not really a front wheel drive experience, but he's keeping the laps on. He's not ticking round too slow either. He's only 44 seconds off the leader, so this current pace I wouldn't expect him to get lapped. Meanwhile, there is Kingy, Ambient, Zabisky and Valeside again sharing the same piece of track. Again, we go into turn 1. Kingy taking a very shallow defensive line. Is that going to make him vulnerable on the exit? Not this time around, because Zabisky is all over the back of Ambient. And there is Valeside. Again, 4 drivers. This is going to keep going to the end. Out front, Ollie is all over the back of Sam Thumbfinger. Has he got to move on the inside under the hairpin? Can he get it stopped and turned? He can, but Sam able to brake early and get the undercut and retain the lead. So there can't be much more of this race in between these 2 guys. There's, by my count, 2 laps to go. Or potentially 2 laps to go. We'll see how it is. The drivers will be starting the last lap. With the way the time is there, there should be about a minute left to go on the boards. So this will be the last lap. Last chance saloon, Ollie. Have you got a move in there in the bank? Have you got that dive bomb, the moment on the brakes? As we start lap 11, he's having a look into turn 1. No way through. Actually, he's changed his mind. Sam very late on the brakes, locks up. Has he given Ollie position? We saw Kingy look to defend this way earlier. 2 drivers get side by side, and Ollie, just like Vale did earlier on in the race, forces his way through fairly. Just takes enough track and he's through into the lead on the final lap, or what should be the final lap. Sam then takes P2. Has he got enough to take back? He's a little bit further away now as he makes a massive dive. I can't see it happening. There's Charlie Goff in P3, and then this is battle here further behind. There's Kingy in P4, Ambient Stub in P5, OB in P6, Abisky in P6. He's having a look on the inside of Ambient Stub. Can he get the car stopped on the brakes? He's tried this move before, but locked up and went very wide, which is what cost him 4th place to begin with. Runs a little bit deep there, but able to hold the position. It's Stubb down into 6th. Valeside must have had a moment. He's down in 7th. And Wayne is all over the back of Kobe coming into the final few corners. So absolute mayhem here as we see Ollie able to keep Sam off. I don't think Sam's going to have the slipstream enough to catch up into the line. He isn't. It's Ollie who wins. Sam Thumbfinger in 3rd. Charlie Goff, really good P3 for him. And this epic battle's gone on for most of the race. That's Kingy who's going to take 4th. Abisky's in P5. Ambo is in P6. Here's Valeside in P7. He'll feel hard done by. He definitely had the pace and was part of that epic battle for so long. He's in P7. Then there's a little bit of gap then, and here is Kobe in the purple, number 20, coming round the final corner. He's going to hold off Wayne in the end. So Kobe takes P8. Really good result for Kobe. Wayne in P9. Here is Jeff in P10. He's managed to hold off faster guys behind. There's Chris in P11. Blind Scotsman in P12. I think these drivers from P11 down are carrying damage. Ice Dude is for certain. He's missing a lot of his car. And then Jinx, the final driver, who's only 45 seconds or so off the lead. Really good result for him in a car that he's really not used to. These cars are really tricky to drive, but I'm sure the guys will be chatting like crazy about that race. Whew. And across the line comes Jinx, and that is that for the Renault Clios. And I think it's time for a little bit of a break. What a race that was! What a race! Let's make sure we save that replay, because that is definitely one I'm going to be watching in my own time later. I've got the stream to watch back, of course, but you don't quite get the intricacies of watching the battle here and there. Yeah, just make sure I save the footage there for you guys. But who got the fastest lap in the end? There's a 21.3 there. I think was potentially the fastest lap, but whoa, what a race! What a race! Just gonna see if we can bring Sam into the mix for after his race. We haven't spoken to Sam on the stream before, so let's see how he goes. Where are we looking for Sam? Thankfully, the F being S, he's towards the bottom of the screen. But we'll drop him an invite nonetheless. We'll see the drivers heading over to their GT5 cars. The Ginetta G40 GT5, same car as the Ginetta Junior, this one, just a bit more power. This is the least powerful car we're running tonight. So yeah, least powerful car we're running tonight, and but not the slowest. I think these cars are slightly quicker than the Clios out on track. They do have that acceleration power, and specifically their rear wheel drive, and they can take a bit more of a brunting. We also have Johnny Joyrider joining us for this this last race as well. So Johnny Joyrider joined us for round 1, not able to join earlier on, but he is here now. But whilst the drivers are doing their thing and we're waiting for Sam to join us, I will just take a small break, and I'll be back with you shortly. Okay, and we're back after that very short break there. Just as the guys are heading to the track. Hopefully we'll have Sam something, and hopefully we'll have Stubb as well. Two drivers who were very, very busy in that last race. Let's see how it went for them. I'm sure Ambient, even though he wasn't in the higher up in the grid positionings at the end, I'm sure he will have loved the fact of that really close racing. And Bisky as well. Great racing for Bisky. I know he made one mistake, pretty much one major mistake the last race, and it cost him a little bit, but great to see him having that pace and fight back in those cars. Really, really good to see. So this is your fifth and final race of the night. This is the Ginetta GT5. It's a pretty much a house favourite here. We do love this car, and we'd happily have a championship in these cars all week long. There's not much to be said between the difference of them. Again, very much like the Clio, it's hard to pull away when you're ahead, and there's going to be a lot of reliance on slipstream for certain. And then we'll have a quick look to see who we've got in what cars as well. 15 drivers on the grid. So there's Johnny Joyrider in the 3904 delivery, I think. And there's Sam Thumping. Sam Thumping, just be careful of your reverb on your sound, and we should be okay. No, I'm just checking to make sure it's. I don't want to hear myself 4 times over on the stream. Not a problem. We can hear you fine. How's your heart after that last race? For someone who doesn't enjoy front-wheel drive cars, you've got 2 P2 results in the first 2 rounds. I think you might be a hidden front-wheel drive specialist. Yeah, we saw a little bit of chaos happening there. It's the last 2 cars though, we've seen all drivers end up on the lead lap, which is absolutely fantastic. And what you probably couldn't see much of, you probably saw a bit of it in your rearview mirror, was, and hopefully get to chat to him about it, Ambient Stubb in a 4-way battle with Kingy for practically the entire race. How was your race in your in the old favourite, the DBR1 as well? Because you were leading that one in the unfortunate position of leading it. It's the car you don't want to be leading in, to be honest. He did, yeah. All the meantime, the man with the fastest laps is driving away, yeah. Yeah, we've got a nice full grid as well, and there's going to see how well these cars do. There's a Vales put in a very competitive time. Obviously, you're heading out onto your first final lap now. We are on board with you, so which part of this track have you found the trickiest? I know it's not the most conducive to overtaking, but there's a number of different lines into some of the corners, especially around here. We saw a battle with you and Ollie. No, and there's a lot of them on this circuit. Yep, that is true. It is a saying on stream that it is a house favourite, this car. Yeah. He's having a bit of a quiet race. I think he's in a bit of a dry slump at the minute. I know he'll refine his form. I'm sure he's far too quick a driver to stay down too long. It's a little bit of a spoiler. We was running a test event the other day with the not Formula 1, it was the Renault Clios and the vintage Escorts, vintage B Escorts. And what's interesting is they all ran the same sort of pace. And these GT5s, who are depending on the track, are in that mix, so could potentially see a series with all three cars. Be good to see. And that's how you end up in these high positions. Which track are you looking forward to? With it's only 6 races on the calendar this season. We've got a couple of good ones on there. Which one are you looking forward to the most? Yeah. Well, we're heading to Laguna Seca next, then we've got the Nürburgring sprint layout, Brands Hatch GP, and we're final at Bathurst. And especially looking forward to taking those Formula Renaults to Bathurst. We don't go there in real life. There's no harm in taking them in pretend amateur life. Oh, we're seeing a lot of spread in lap times in this practicing. Oh, it's very quick. It's a rally driving experience in there for you. How was who do you think is sandbagging in this race? Because obviously there's a lot of different times in that board. Yeah, we do affect a few moments here now, especially into a track like this that has a tight turn 1. Even if we run the GP circuit, turn 1 is still going to be a problem because it's just so open. There's so many lines going into it. It's hard to pick and choose them. Yeah, we caught it on stream. We jumped a bit further back to see what it looks like going into turn 1 when you have 14 Renault Clios all fighting for the first corner, and it was Ice Dude who got spun around, complete racing incident, as you are being spun around right now. Entirely a racing incident, and then the car behind just collected him and he ended up going flying in the air. But it turns out Renault Clios do fly and they do acrobatics very well. But he completed the rest of the race with half a car. He had no boots, no rear bumper, no front bumper, no windscreen, and no bonnet. So credit to him finishing the race. But we're now done and ready for the final race. It's been a tiring one, especially with all the fun happening right at the very end. Hopefully we'll see that into the final race. Right, I'll let you go so you can get prepared for the race. Good luck for it, and hopefully you will won't be so kind and start pushing all the other drivers out of the way. Either way, have a good race, and we'll speak to you later. Thank you very much for joining us. that was Sam Funfinger. He's doing really, really well in this series. He did better in Season 1. This season's been a bit up and down for him, but he's refining that groove. And the key is in the different types of cars. The cars are so different. I mean, this car we have now, it's all rear-wheel drive, but it just doesn't have that power you'd expect, and it's so much fun. It really is so much fun. It's the type of car that you miss not racing. But how does everything stand in this one going to the clear GT5s? Ambient Stub, Enter Sorts not making this race, and Veilside Racing with the top results so far. Sam did finish towards the back of the grid in round 1 at Alton Park, so we'll see how everyone races here. Again, a vague mix of times across the board. I wouldn't rely too much on these times, because when it comes to the racing in these cars, it's all about staying in the train. As we're watching Jeff Spencer get very, very sideways, holding it nicely. Again, I am going to be surprised if Jeff doesn't make a good positions up here. He is a bit more settled in this car, a lot more experience. This, if it was to play a Joker card, I'm pretty confident this would be his Joker race. And give him double points, I'm sure. So practice is complete for the final time, and then we will head to our final random grid of the night. Most of the drivers are in, just waiting maximum of 40 seconds, and we'll get to bring you the final race of the night. Don't forget, guys, if you're watching this back from the live stream, so you're watching this back, drop a like on your accounts, and any bits you really enjoyed, don't forget that you can chat about them in the comments. Just keep it obviously friendly and clean. We don't want to be mean to everybody. The world's mean enough as it is. We bring our mean streak to the racing, not in chat. Just a reminder, we will be streaming the entire season here on Fresh Sim Racing YouTube channel for the Sprint Races series. And as the grid for this one, finally, Ambient Stub gets a half decent position there in P1. So he finally gets a good qualifying position. He's been down the bottom of the grid for the entire race so far. There's Ice Dude in P2. Hopefully avoid flipping on this corner as he did in the previous race. Ollie in P3. Charlie Goff in P4. Flying Scotsman in P5. Jinx in P6. King in P7. There's Chris H in P8. Wayne is in P9. Obi in P10. There's Johnny Joyrider in P11, Jeff Spencer in P12, Sam Something, the man you're speaking to in practice, he's in P13, Kobe Zivka in P14, and Veilside Racing in P15. I expect Sam and Veilside Racing to make their way through the grid, but again, any one of these drivers can be at the front very, very quickly, and with one mistake, could be all the way back down the grid. So if you like what you've seen, don't forget to join us next week, where we'll be at Laguna Seca, a really good track to bring in all these 5 cars round. And we also have our other events happen on Wednesdays and Sundays. We don't stream those at the moment, but we will be streaming them at the point. For now, the lights are out and we're away for the final time as the cars all make their way through. Let's jump a bit further back. We'll have a look on board with Sam as we come into turn 1. Is he going to make a look for the move? He's braking nice and early. Let's hope these guys can avoid all the collisions as we come into turn 1. His car running wide there, gets back on track. Sam, meanwhile, has found his way up into P10 as when left as 2 cars go side by side, and that is Kingy off the track and potentially a Biscuit off the track as well. And cars coming back up the hill nicely. Is everyone up in one piece? It looks like they are. So as we head out into the first corner, Ambient Stub is checked out in front. He's got a 2 seconds already over Ollie, and there's Ice Dude then in P3 and a flurry of cars behind him. There's Ambient Stub in the black, white and orange car. He is gone. Ollie's left a bit more room, but there's Charlie Goff on the back of Ice Dude. Can he make his way through? Charlie Goff in the blue and grey 29. There's Ice Dude in the white with red stripes there, just ahead of him. He gets a better exit there, and a flurry of cars behind. So end of lap 1, there is Ambient Stub in front of Ollie. Ollie then leads Ice Dude in P2, Charlie Goff in P3, there's Flying Scotsman in P5, Jinx in P6, Chris 7, Wayne 8, Johnny Joyrider in 9, Vale in P10, Jeff Spencer in P11. As there's an owl car, is that Wayne having a look on the inside? Number 32 car, that is Wayne, who's made a fantastic move there up into P8. Something happened to Sam on that last lap though, but he's down. He's that lost some wing there? No, he must have had a spin. We saw him in practice having a spin, but he's there nonetheless. So he is down into 14, and Kobe is in the pits for some repairs. This is the battle further down, as we see a car go off into the wall there. Who is that? Is that Charlie Goff? No, is it Jeff Spencer? It's Jeff Spencer who's found himself around. He's going to drop down behind Sam, is he? Potentially. Yep, Charlie Goff is back down. So here is the main battle. There's Wayne up into P6 as a result. So your leader, Ambient Stub, is got 3-second advantage over Ollie going on to the start of lap 3. Ice Dude finally getting a good run of the green. He's in P3, and Vale side, really good start for him. He's in P4. There's Jinx. There is Jinx in number 17, the Mucci livery. He's in P5. Fantastic race so far for Jinx. He's doing really, really well in these sort of cars. Really good to see him. Spoke to him earlier on in the night, and he'll be happy, I'm sure. There's Wayne in the owl livery behind in the yellow owl there, and then we've got Chris in the blue livery and Johnny Joyrider in the black, orange and white, as Chris runs very, very deep. Johnny Joyrider goes up into P7. We're just going to jump on board with Johnny Joyrider. Let's see him as he looks to make another position on the back of Wayne there. Wayne is in that black and yellow livery, and that's Jinx ahead in the Emoji. Johnny, have a look in the inside. Not this time around. He's going to be better focused on the exit here. This is the time you want to be making a move on the inside. He's too far back this time, but Wayne brakes really early, licks off the brakes. Bit of a lock up there, as there's going to be a car on the inside bumping him out wide. Is that Chris? Yeah, but Chris concedes position. He knows he's in the wrong, and he's given the position back. Great racing there by Chris. Really fair racing. That's what we love to see. This is a really big battle from 6th all the way down to P10. In fact, Jeff Spencer recovering, and Flying Scotsman, Charlie Goff as well, all further down the grid. It's only really Sam and Kobe who are not in the running. As there's Jinx as he rejoins the track after a collision. That's Chris out of the race, and is another car just taking up the battle? No. Really, really unfortunate there for Jinx, who's got his car turned around on the exit, hit the wall and has ricocheted back into the track. Collected up Chris H. Absolutely nothing he could do. He was a passenger there. Just really unlucky that Jinx was unable to get the car turned around. In fact, there's a green car there parked on the exit. Is that Kobe? Yeah, Kobe is done. He's just going to be waiting to retire that car, waiting for the cars to pass, I'm sure. He's missing a huge chunk of the front of his car. He's going to have a lot of damage. That is going to be his race done, unfortunately. Meanwhile, your race leader, 5-second advantage out front over Ollie. He's I'm just up. Is that 1 with this Janetta? I'm sure he's spending time up in Leeds. Don't quote me on this one. This is pure speculation, but he's definitely got some inside deal with Janetta going on. That's why he's so good in these cars. There's Ollie, number 22, in P2, 5 seconds down lead, but he does have 3 seconds on Valeside Racing there, number 37. There's Ice running very wide, and a big concertina effect happening behind. There's Ice in the 38 and 4. Wayne has got up to P5 in the 32 car. Then there's Obi, Kingy and Johnny Joyrider in that order. There you got looking at Kingy in the black and red livery car, and no, Kingy's in the yellow Makeda, sorry, the greeny yellow Makeda, lime Makeda. It's Abiski who's in the red and black as Johnny Joyrider has a look on the inside. He makes the position, and now Kingy is looking on the inside. Is there room for him? No, not this time around. So it's Kingy who's in P8 now. Further down you've got Chris in P9 fighting with Jeff Spencer, and there is Charlie Goff and Flying Scotsman all together, all 4 cars fighting for the same bit of track. No love lost between these drivers whilst they are racing, which we don't mind as long as it's clean and fair. Let's jump on board with Kingy as he looks in the back of this battle. There's 5 cars in this battle here. There's Ice Dude, who's a little bit of a plug in the battle there. There's Johnny Joyrider, who's directly behind him. So it's Ice in the white, Johnny behind him. We're on board with Kingy, who's just gained 2 positions between Obisky and Wayne there, who've got together. This is Wayne, who's again looking at this head battle. 5 cars all fighting for P4. Your race leader Emma Stubb 6 seconds ahead of Ollie, and Ollie has 3 seconds or so on Vale's side. And then there is this 5-way battle. Hopefully Wayne can keep up with the tow here. He doesn't want to fall behind. Then once that battle is over and done with, you're dealing with Chris in P9, battle for 9, and Charlie Goff in P10. Flying Scotsman is in P11, and Jeff in P10. Sam is also starting to catch up to this battle, and Jinx, who had that one mistake, he was riding up in 4th and 5th, having a good race, one mistake, and that's cost him so badly. He'll be ruining that, but he's enjoying himself, I'm sure. Meanwhile, Ice is, I'm not sure if he's round wide, but he's lost a lot of positions. It's Johnny Joyrider who now bears the brunt of this battle. In fact, no, it's not. It's now Kingy. Where has Johnny gone? Johnny Joyrider is around. Is just falling down the order. Has he disconnected? Have we lost Johnny Joyrider? I can't seem to get him on my screen. There he is. He's not disconnected. He is still with us, but he has had a massive spin. So that's the end of that battle for Johnny. That's freed Kingy up into V4, and he is checked out in the last two sectors. Wayne is still part of this battle. He's in P5, and this battle all closing down into one. What was 2 battles has now become 1 big battle, all led by Wayne. So out front we don't see much of him because there's so much happening behind, but this is your race leader, 7 seconds ahead now, lapping a good 8/10 quicker than the guy behind, who is Ollie. But Ollie, as long as he keeps his nose clean, he's not going to lose position. Just keep it on track. Valeside Racing's had a moment. He's dropped time to the cars behind him. In fact, Kingy is already only 2-3 seconds behind him, so Vale needs to be careful. There's Kingy in P4. Then there's this epic battle of Wayne in P5, Obisky in P6. It's starting to spread out a little bit at the moment, but I don't think that's going to last very long. There's Ice Dude in P6, and he's got Charlie Goff accompanied on the inside. Now Charlie Goff is in the number 29 car, that blue and grey silver. In fact, they've come together there. And Ice, can he keep it out the wall? I think he can. Just gonna check with Ice. Has he been able to keep it at the wall? No, he's had a bit of contact with the wall there. And Charlie Goff come together into the S's. Charlie Goff is now under pressure from Jeff Spencer and Sam behind as well. So Sam on a recovery drive. Something happened in lap 1. He's lost a lot of time, a lot of pace, but he is starting to recover. There are still 5 minutes left to go in this final race. We're looking at another 4 laps of sure. There's Charlie Goff, really struggling to get the car turned in, but he's there. And there's Sam looking on the inside of Jeff Spencer. Just going to be unlucky to lose out on this series of positions here, but yeah, it's going to gain a slipstream now. Hopefully, he can use that to catch up. After all that chaos and mayhem, we are going to take a moment to catch our breath because Kobe is still running round. Couple of laps down, still running around. Chris is there, he's struggling, he's had a moment, he's dropped down the order. Johnny Joyrider as well, must be carrying a lot of damage. He is, he's coming into the pits. Shame, Johnny Joyrider is into the pits. Chris is carrying around, he'll be disappointed about that. Ice Dude has dropped all the way down to the order after his damage, but he's not coming in, he's going to try and see it through. That's promoted Jinx up to 12, but there is Ice behind, so he has to be very, very careful. What we see now on track, 4 minutes left to go. Here is the race leader, Ambient Stub. He is going to the lap. This is Chris. He's going to put a lap on now. Should be comfortable. We'll see Chris jump, I'm sure. And he stays on his line, lets ambient stub through, lifts off into the braking zone. Really good racing there by Chris. And he's maximised the amount of, or minimised the amount of time he's lost there. And then you try and catch up to the battle that's happening ahead. Ollie, he's having a lonely race as he's pushing the car to a lock-up there. He's keeping up with ambient, but not being able to cut the gap down. He's in a different leg at the minute as ambient stub. Outside racing in P3. He seems to have settled down after a bit of mistake with Kingy in P4, and then we've got Wayne in P5, who's becoming a little bit more comfortable now. The drivers have ended their battles and starting to spread out just a little bit. There is the Flying Scotsman in P6, so not the greatest of starts for the Flying Scotsman, but he is there when the moment matters, and he just keeps pushing down. But he does have Charlie Goff for company. Now we saw Charlie Goff get a little bit sideways with Ice Dude in this part of the track. They're going to have a coming together, or is Mikey just going to leave enough room, just enough room, as Sam behind eats into the gravel, into the wake of the cars ahead, and Jeff is up and through into P8. Sam, we've ruined that mistake. He certainly has the pace in his car. There's Obi in P10, really struggling with grip right now, and Ice and Jinx. So Ice is in front of Jinx and the rest of the grid out further back. Kobe has retired from the race. We're down to 15 drivers into the final 2 minutes. We're struggling with that little bit of consistency for Kobe, so he's got some really good pace here and there. He just needs to work on that, being able to finish the races and hit the laps on repeat. Oh, as we see a moment there, who's that going round? That's one of the drivers trying to get out of the way quickly, and in doing so causing a bit of a chaos. Is that Jinx? Yeah. One who's felt a little bit of pressure there from the lead. He just needs to focus on his lines when that happens. But let's have a look what's happened further back. It's a Flying Scotsman's lost a few places now, and Charlie Goff's up to 6th, and Jeff is up into 7th. Hopefully Charlie Goff has made his way through on good racing skill alone. Hopefully there's nothing happening between the two drivers there. But in the meantime, it's Sam who is in front of the Flying Scotsman right now. There is Charlie Goff, who leaves this group. He's now into P6. He was high up the grid early on. He's made a mistake and recovered very, very quickly. It's a good race for him so far. Bit of a moment in with Ice Dude a couple of laps to go. But he's out there racing. He's putting his best lap times in as best he can. Coming into the final minute now, there's Jeff Spencer all over, Sam all over the back of Jeff Spencer, who's doing a very good job to defend. Here is Jeff. We see has he got the pace? All 4 cars separated by a couple of seconds. We'll jump on board with Sam. Let's see how much of a tow he can get. It's a double tow because he's got the cars ahead. So Jeff will be using a slipstream from the car ahead. It's going to make him very, very difficult to overtake. Sam pulls out. Is he going to make enough move on the brakes? Very late on the brakes. Has he got it stopped in time? Turned onto the apex. It looks like he's got the job done. Jeff being very compliant there, making sure he doesn't get his car tangled up. He's in P8. He's want to stay in P8. In fact, he's probably want to fight back here, but if he can. Takes it to the outside. Don't think there's going to be any room there. This is the closest battle on track. Where is our race leader? There he is, Ambient Stub. Caught him just in time as he crosses the line. There is Ollie in P2. Congratulations to Ambient Stub. Another great win, and GT5's his home car. I'm sure he'll answer the claims that he's got some partnership with Janetta. I'm sure he'll be happy to hear. We get to the side of the contract, he'll be very happy to race, I'm sure. Vale meanwhile takes P3, and there's Kinging for another good but slightly lonely race in P4. And you got a tiny bit of a wait then for Wayne, for a good result for Wayne. Keep his nose clean, part of that really big battle early on. He takes P5. And then we've got this 3-way battle coming to the line. It's Charlie Goff who is leading Sam, and there's Jeff behind Charlie Goff's weaving, though that's not going to look good under review. You can only have that one change of direction. That weaving is not allowed in the league regulations, so we'll have to see if that result stands. Charlie off taking P6, Sam in P7, Jeff in P8. Flying Scotsman takes P9, Abiski coming across the line in P10, with Ice in P11. And check the rest of the grid when it comes up. It was Ice in P11 and Jinx at P12. With Chris 13 and Johnny Joyrider unfortunately had a moment and he got a lot of damage, so that dropped him out of the race with Kobe and the retirement. So that is it, folks. That is your sprint race, club sprint race round 2 here at Fresh Sim Racing. It's been an absolutely epic race, especially the races at the end have been really fantastic. Hope you've enjoyed watching, or hope you enjoy watching the footage back. If you have, make sure you drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share the link across with your friends, especially if you're the one driving, so how well you've done. We're back next week at Laguna Seca, same time, start at 8 p.m. stream. It would be great for you to come and join us then. Thank you very much for joining me. Have a fantastic week, and we'll hope to see you then.